It's going to be quite a dry evening. The risk of showers pushes further south away from Scotland into this evening, so plenty of sunshine to end the day. Still that fresh feel though across the very far north, and it will remain cloudier across more northern coasts into the evening as well. The shower risk increases as we head towards parts of Northern Ireland, Northern England, parts of Wales, southeastern England also in with a chance of a shower through Friday evening. Some of these do bring a risk of some quite torrential downpours through Friday evening. But then it does turn drier as we head towards the weekend. A clear night to come for many of us through Friday night into Saturday. Still a chance of a shower overnight across some coastal areas, particularly Irish Sea coast, but for many inland areas it's going to be a cool night. Temperatures widely falling down into single figures, the low single figures rurally to start the day, so quite a fresh start. But it is going to be a sunny start to the weekend. Plenty of dry weather on the cards this weekend and a bit more sunshine than we've had through the past few days. But temperatures will remain on the cooler side of things, quite widely below average in the high teens, possibly low 20s at best. So a bit of a difference to what we've become accustomed to. Bye-bye.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
It's the final week to see how you could win over £65,000 in prizes.
You could be our latest Great British Giveaway winner.
First of all, we want to give you
£60,000 in tax-free cash. Plus, you'll also receive a fine gold bar worth over £5,000.
For a chance to win, text GOLD to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB22 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 21st of August. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pulled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Join me, Nana Akua, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
Because
the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome to Free Speech Nation with me, Josh Harwood. This is the show where each week we see what's happening in the world of culture, current affairs and politics.
First we'll say, welcome to the UK. Oh, thank you.
And we're not afraid to use our free speech so that you can use yours.
It's not controversial in the slightest to anyone who hasn't lost their mind.
Free Speech Nation, Sunday nights at 7 p.m, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Breaking news, live updates, stories that matter.
From the heart of the GB newsroom to every corner of Britain, with our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
GB News bulletins are there to deliver the latest news that matters to you.
Bulletins on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Well, good afternoon, Britain. It's 12 o'clock on Friday, the 21st of August. I'm Mark White.
And I'm Dawn Neeson. OK, we have a huge show for you. Dramatic footage shows migrants attacking French police as officers slash their dinghy to stop it launching. After Britain handed France another $662 million. Are the French finally getting tough on channel crossings?
Well, 2 Afghan illegal immigrants have been convicted of raping a woman at knife point after treating her as an object they could use and abuse. As the Home Office hands new arrivals leaflets explaining rape and consent, can a booklet ever protect British women from dangerous offenders?
And terror victims remembered. Today marks Today Britain is holding its first ever National Day for Victims and Survivors of Terrorism to ensure they're never forgotten.
Meghan Markle has reportedly been offered a major acting role in Britain as the Sussex prepare to move home. So, could the former Suit star be swapping California for a Hoppers Square?
Oh dear, stop it. And in a pledge to stop the meltdowns, English Heritage has announced an ice cream insurance to protect parents from the fallout when an ice cream goes splat this summer.
Yes, it may feel like hot chocolate weather rather than ice cream weather today here in Scarborough, but if you're visiting an English heritage site around the country, there's that free splat insurance in place.
Oh, Mark White, what are you like,
Well,
honestly?
it's just like Meghan in the Barbara Windsor wig.
I quite suited her. She's an actress.
Actually, it did.
We are look. I mean, like many of you, I mean, talking about Harry and Meghan, as you might have spotted her, it's not going to be taken seriously. But we are going to address the subject and we are going to speculate on what roles. I mean, she's coming back here, maybe because she's got an acting role, isn't there, crying? So we are going to speculate, aren't we, Mark, on what roles she might be up for. I mean, I suggested Traitors earlier on, which I think was actually a shoo-in, maybe typecasting, but...
And I suggested she could reprise her role as the glamorous box opener in the British version of Deal or No Deal. She was in the American version before. You can find it on YouTube, by the way. It's worth a look.
Yeah, exactly. Or The Muppet Show was another suggestion. Any case, look, have some fun with this. Look, we don't want to talk about it either, but it's a main story. It does affect us. It's on the front of all your newspapers. So have some fun. Let's have some suggestions. If Meghan is going to come back to the UK for an acting role, what role would you like to see her in? gbnews.com/your say. And if Mark actually gets through the show without completely corpsing with laughter, I'll be very, very surprised. So
she is a very bad influence on me.
See how much you can make Mark laugh during the show. Get in touch and we'll read as many out as we possibly can. Or I will, because he will be laughing too much. Any case, all of that and loads of serious stuff as well that is absolutely grim. But we are going to talk about it. And ladies, I don't know how you feel out there, but I am absolutely... I want to use a swear word, but I can't. I'm not allowed to. I am absolutely furious today. This has to stop now. I'm sorry. This really has to stop now. No more stories of women and girls being raped and abused on a daily basis. We have another case to talk about this morning. Any case, all of that coming up after your news headlines with Tatiana Sanchez.
Thank you very much. The top stories. Security for the Duke and Duchess of Sussex upon their return to the UK could cost millions of pounds, a former police chief has said, as uncertainty remains over how protection for the couple will be funded. Prince Harry and Meghan's plan to move back to Britain was revealed on Wednesday night. The couple's children have already been enrolled in new schools, but little else is known about the royal homecoming beyond the fact they'll live in a non-royal residence outside of London. Meanwhile, Meghan could return to acting once back in the UK, according to a report. The development has reignited questions about the Sussex's security, with Harry having lost a legal battle with the government last year after his protection was downgraded due to no longer being a working royal. Deputy Chairman of the Conservative Party, Matt Vickers, spoke to GB News.
I think it's positive that Charles is going to get to see his grandkids. We know he's aging somewhat. We've talked about his health. I think the other thing you've got to think about, we talk about publishing the details and the costs of people's security. Actually, when you look at what's happened to MPs and other public office holders in recent times, telling the bad guys, telling the people who would look to do them harm, what is being spent and how it's being spent is quite a dangerous thing. So I think there is a challenge there about transparency versus safety, and I think actually it's on the Home Office, it's on the police to look at the list, the risk, look at what is being threatened, what those challenges are, and make a proportionate and fair response to them. Nobody would want to see a situation where something was to happen to Harry and Meghan.
Footage has emerged showing French police coming under attack as they attempted to intercept a migrant boat. Officers can be seen using pava spray to disperse migrants before deflating the dinghy by slashing it with a knife. It comes as a new elite French police unit has stopped 12 so-called taxi boats travelling up the coast to pick up migrants waiting to cross the Channel to Britain. The operation's part of the new £662 million UK-France deal aimed at tackling Channel crossings. French police units have prevented 185 small boat crossing attempts in the first 3 months of the deal. An illegal immigrant has been jailed for life for murdering a man in the UK just 3 years after serving a sentence in Romania for a strikingly similar killing. 59-year-old construction worker Eugeniu Nimtu, known as Jimmy, was found guilty of fatally stabbing his flatmate and fellow Romanian 63-year-old George Trica in Walthamstow in East London in February. Judge Richard Marks KC jailed Nimtu at the Old Bailey for life with a minimum term of 27 years. Elsewhere, the government borrowed slightly more than expected in July, according to figures published as the Chancellor John Healey draws up his first budget. The Office for National Statistics said borrowing was £2.3 billion more than official forecasts from the Office for Budget Responsibility. Borrowing was £1.8 billion in July, two-thirds higher than the same month last year. Economists warned the figure will restrict Healey and the Prime Minister Andy Burnham's room for manoeuvre as they target measures aimed at easing the cost of living for households. In other news, millions of former students are seeking compensation from universities over disrupted in-person teaching during COVID. Around 200,000 students have already joined the landmark legal claim against at least 88 universities, including KCL and LSE. The deadline for new claimants is fast approaching, closing tonight. And the world's oldest person is celebrating her 117th birthday after a year of many firsts, including meeting the King and holding his hand. Ethel Caterham, who lives at Hallmark Lakeview Care Home in Lightwater in Surrey, is spending the day with her family and friends to mark the occasion today. In a statement, she said, "Thank you for all the kind birthday wishes. Even at 117, I've had many firsts this year, from stroking a llama to holding hands with the King." Those are the latest headlines. More in half an hour.
You can now watch GB News live across the United States of America and the world on Truth Plus. Scan the QR code to find out more, or visit gbnews.com/truth.
Good afternoon, Britain. It is coming up to 9 minutes past midday. And before we get started on the show properly, just want to say thank you so much for all of you getting in touch already. Mark cannot keep a straight face. But Mark, your giggling has cheered people up.
Oh.
Yeah, but Gary says, "Mark, keep laughing. You've cheered me up in this miserable world. You and Dawn are wonderful." Oh, thank you.
Well, I mean, the news is absolutely horrific, so, you know, it's good to have a little bit of a laugh. On that note, Chris Morris says that Meghan could possibly play either Nora Batty or Hilda Ogden. We should be very good there. Mary Poppins. Not her real name. Maybe it is. She says, let's see what we can come up with. Pinocchio. Ooh, don't know what she's getting at there. Fran Booth says they could do a Netflix version of Shameless.
That is such a... I'm sorry. That is such a good one.
But my particular favourite is Patrick Savage, who says, I'm a Z-list celebrity. Get me out of here.
Some of them, yeah, I mean, you can come up with...
Z-list, sorry.
Yeah.
I was just being American.
We're not American, but keep them coming in and have your comments on all the stories we are talking about today, because we are obviously covering some really heavy subjects as well. gbnews.com/your say. Let's get started on your expertise, Mark.
Yeah, new footage has been released showing French police coming under attack as they attempted to intercept a migrant boat.
Yeah, officers, you can see it on your screens now, can be seen using pepper spray to disperse migrants before deflating the dinghy by slashing it with a knife.
Well, French police say they've prevented 185 small boat crossing attempts in the first 3 months of their deal with France, a deal worth £662 million.
So are we finally seeing some French resistance? Is it value for money? Channel crossings are down about 40% compared to last year.
Yeah, indeed. Well, we're now joined by someone with intense and expert knowledge of this subject matter, the former Director General of UK Border Force, Tony Smith. Tony, it's great to chat to you as always. Look, you know, for the rare bit of footage that the Home Office managed to get a hold of to try and accentuate their point, we've seen so many others. Just recently, last week, in fact, Chris Philp, the Shadow Home Secretary, out in France speaking to the French police, who say they've been told not to intervene if the boat gets in the water. What do you think the truth of it is?
Yeah, hi, Mark. Good to see you. It's difficult, isn't it, Mark? I mean, you know as much about this as I do. I mean, because you're constantly covering this story, you guys. I watch all of the footage, your footage, Chris Philp's footage, this one. It's a mixed picture. I mean, there is some evidence there that they have gone at least ankle deep into the water and slashed a dinghy. I don't know where, I don't know how, I don't know why. The bigger thing for me is really what you're saying, Mark, about the change in tactics by the smugglers and the fact that, you know, we're not seeing loads of smaller boats coming across from the beaches of Boulogne and Calais anymore. Much larger boats coming up from further afield, up as far as Belgium, much further along the French coast, and these taxi boats. And, you know, my main interest, as yours, I think, is what are they prepared to do on the water? This is sort of ankle deep. But what I really wanted to see is a change in strategy so they would come around, you know, and stop these taxi boats actually in the water, push them back towards the beaches and prevent more crossings that way. And I'm just not sure, Mark, that, you know, it's clear what their operational directions are from the reports that I'm seeing.
And Tony, what it's illustrating to me personally watching these scenes, I don't know if it's the people smugglers themselves or the people they are trying to smuggle, but they're very violent people. It is quite frightening. So the French police really do have their work cut out. Obviously, they are doing their jobs. But these are the kind of people that are coming into the UK, that are being escorted into the UK. That's frightening.
Yeah, not only that, Dawn, but we've had this before where there have been fights and assaults on police by French, and yet the migrants have still got in a boat and come across here, and we're the ones that have ended up prosecuting them on this side of the water rather than sending them back for the French to prosecute a criminal French on French beaches. So I don't quite understand why, you know, they're not actually, when people are, you know, legal immigration, but law and disorder and those sorts of assaults on police should be immediately arrested, I'd have thought, and prosecuted through the French justice system rather than being allowed to continue on their way. So it's a very, very confusing mixed picture that we're seeing. But we have to say, I think, that, you know, numbers are down. Let's be fair. We always go by the numbers. Numbers of migrants getting in by boat is down this year by about 40%. I don't think we can keep saying that's the weather. The weather's played a part, but I do think something is working, but I don't think it's going to put them off, because my experience of international organised criminals is they're not going to give up. They're just going to continue to change their tactics because the business model and the money is so great. So I'd be really interested to see how this unfolds, but I would like to see much more from the French in terms of what are they actually prepared to do regarding interventions at sea rather than just on the beaches and, you know, in ankle-deep water.
I think you're absolutely right, Tony. There is currently some disruption that's taking place that may account for some of the reduction in the numbers coming across so far this year. But you know more than anyone else that the people smugglers adapt and overcome. Isn't the truth of it really that you won't actually solve this problem unless you have that particular process of, you know, a disincentive that's going to put the migrants off, such as a Rwanda-type scheme?
Yeah, so I told you before, I was an immigration officer back in the day in the 70s and the 80s. We could detain anybody who came up without a passport indefinitely and deport them without a passport. That's what we used to do. But the law's changed so much in the last 50 years that all they've got to do now is mention the word asylum or human rights and they're in. We can't detain them for more than 24 hours at Manston, and they're going to get temporary admission. We're going to see a horrendous story. So we've got to tackle that, I think. And that does mean fundamentally looking at how can we get removals up. And if the French aren't prepared to take them back, well, are we going to detain and remove them? Where to? Those are the big questions. Yes, I did support the Rwanda plan, Mark, because I did think at least some of those really hard to remove nationalities, and you put the figures up yesterday, very, very few of those have ever been removed since they've been coming by boat. To disincentivise that, you have to find somewhere to send them to. I play much harder ball with source countries to get readmission agreements in place, and I'd also like to see some of the offshoring ideas we've been talking about, and certainly things like Rwanda, getting people removed very, very quickly, because it's the only way at the end of the day we're going to stop this. They're going to keep coming, either in greater numbers, but by one way or another, I think.
OK, Tony, thank you so much for joining us this morning. That's former Director General of UK Border Force, Tony Smith there. Gordon's come in with a very interesting message, one for you to answer, maybe, Mark. Wake up, why not just go to the Calais warehouses before they get near the water? Stop the boats before they're actually getting near the beaches, and stop the people selling life jackets in the towns, stop them selling them.
Yeah, I mean, they don't store the boats in warehouses in Calais, unfortunately. They're usually transferred overland from the likes of Germany, and they come in the back of a car. They arrive maybe a day before or whatever. They're hidden, buried in the sand, hidden in the dunes. Then a group of migrants come pick it up in a process that really only lasts a few minutes. Down to the beach, they blow up the boat, and then they get it into the water. So it's not quite as easy to sort of disrupt the warehouses, but they do try and move on the migrants from the camps, or indeed if they're in warehouses sleeping out. But what are you doing there? You're just disrupting them. You're, ripping up their tents and sleeping bags, and if anything, that's giving them more of an incentive to get across the channel as quickly as possible.
OK, we have a quick reply from Shabana Mahmood, the Home Secretary. She said our new UK-France deal is already having a real impact, stopping crossings before they happen and disrupting the criminal gangs behind them. People smugglers should be in no doubt we're taking down their operations, seizing their equipment and breaking their business model for good.
OK, well, on GB News, as you well know, we often highlight the dangers associated with illegal channel crossings, and the risk to women from undocumented migrants is undoubtedly increasing.
Yes, another shocking case. Two Afghan men, you can see them on your screens now, have been convicted of raping a woman at knife point in an East London park. The young victim had been stargazing with a man she was on their first date with. Khan Aga and Norella Amdazi attacked the woman in Barking Park last year.
Yes, Amdai raped the woman while Aga held a knife to her date's throat and threatened to kill him if he called police.
It's just horrible. The news of this latest case comes amid the row over Home Office move to hound out those booklets to illegal migrants, reinforcing the need for consent. It wasn't reinforcing the need for consent. It was saying, please don't rape our children and women. It's not a good idea. It's illegal. And it might affect your asylum claim.
Yeah.
OK, well, that booklet annoyed and upset every woman pretty much I know, and the majority of men as well. But what I wanted to do was talk to somebody that's actually been there at the sharp end of what we're talking about here. You know, beyond the booklet, what it's really like to be a victim of what this booklet is talking about. So let's now talk to our sexual abuse survivor, Kelly Lees. And apologies if some of the details might be upsetting. I think it's important to talk about it. Kelly, thank you so much for joining us today. Kelly, can I just get your reaction to that booklet we saw from the Home Office advising men that rape of women and girls and children was not allowed in this country? What was your reaction to that?
This has really triggered me hugely. This is an insult to women and children. This is an insult to survivors. You know, it seems to me this country is a laughingstock at the minute, you know, and it seems to me yet again, we are at the bottom of the pile. You know, what has happened to our safeguarding, what has happened to our morals, you know, it's an absolute huge insult. It really is. I'm absolutely terrified, you know. I've had to fight and fight and fight, and we're still having to fight, you know. There's all these early releases and stuff as well. So this pamphlet, every man knows deep down that rape is wrong. What is this pamphlet going to do? It's an absolute joke.
And it's an acknowledgement, Kelly, by the government themselves that clearly those that they're letting in from some countries and cultures are a risk group. And that must make it all the more difficult for people like yourself, for people right up and down the country who are having to live near these migrant camps or even HMOs where these undocumented men are going to be put, because you just don't know who you're going to be living next door to.
Exactly. And isn't this country already in enough crisis? Why are they not resolving any of this? You know, it just seems to me that this is another tactic. Look at what we've done. We've brought up this pamphlet. But like you've just said, you know, they're acknowledging how huge this crisis is going on. But when are they going to put the action in and start safeguarding the public, start safeguarding children, and start safeguarding women and survivors of this horrific crime?
Kelly,
the pamphlet is a joke.
Kelly, I can hear the anger in your voice, and I completely understand it and completely feel for you. I've interviewed so many survivors like yourself who have fought to get justice and to ensure that it doesn't happen to other women and girls, and indeed men. I mean, we've had an incident of a man being raped recently as well by an illegal migrant. Kelly, if you were talking to the Prime Minister now, what would you say to him? Because what you've suffered, what other women and girls are going through at the moment, it doesn't go away. It stays with you for life, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. You know, some days, you know, I have some good days, you know, but yesterday, for instance, I cried all day. You know, just the feelings of, you know, that I suppressed for so many years. You know, trauma is forever. You know, do I feel safe at this country? No, I don't. Why are we, you know, why are they putting so much responsibility on the public to safeguard, you know? Why isn't the government safeguarding us? You know, they have all these risk assessments, you know, they're going about health and safety and well-being and stuff. You know, we're having to fight for justice, we're having to fight for safeguarding, we're having to fight, you know, just for basic human rights. You know, and so this pamphlet, they know, but they are still avoiding this huge crisis. And I would say to the Prime Minister, when are you going to start safeguarding us? When are you going to start safeguarding the children? When are you going to start safeguarding the public?
Yeah, I was going to say, Kelly, you said before, you know, that you felt triggered by what's going on, and I would imagine that that's not uncommon amongst many survivors in particular, when we hear more and more of these terrible cases now that are coming to our courts, and we finally get to learn publicly about this. You know, people like you and other, well, women in particular, but as Dawn pointed out, men as well, will feel increasingly unsafe.
Yeah, because when they're going to court, some of the sentences aren't long enough. You know, a lot of them, they're getting minimum sentence and then they're not being deported. You know, This country hasn't got any balance at all. There is crisis after crisis, and it seems to me that the survivors and women and children and men of this crime are at the bottom of the pile every time. Why am I and so many others having to fight for basic human rights? Why am I having to fight for safeguarding? Why am I having to fight to do the actual correct thing?
Kelly, you are one incredibly brave lady. Thank you so much for talking to us today. Really, really put your points across brilliantly, and keep doing what you're doing. Keep strong as well. Kelly, thank you so much. That's a sexual abuse survivor, Kelly Lees there. I'm sorry, this story just really upsets me. Another message coming from Amber Mark. She says, as a survivor of rape, I can honestly say I am not just disgusted by the government's response, I'm shocked they could be so brazen to basically openly admit that illegals are a danger to women and children by producing that leaflet, but not actually taking steps to improve the safety of British people.
Well, a Home Office spokesperson said we expect everyone who comes to the UK to abide by our laws. If they do not, they will face consequences, including the refusal of their asylum claim and removal from the UK.
Returns of failed asylum seekers have reached their highest level since 2010 under this government.
Well, if you've been affected by anything discussed, the Rape Crisis England and Wales support line is open 24 hours a day for every day of the year. You can ring it on 0808 500 2222. That's 0808 500 2222. And that's a free service.
Yeah, and please do, if you have been affected by this. It's a difficult subject to talk about, but talk about it we must, because, as you heard there, we have to do something. For me, this ends now. I can't carry on like this. It's just vastly unfair. And that booklet, I thought, was such a huge insult to all the women and the girls and the men that love them in this country. Sorry, I'm done with it. Any case, this is Good Afternoon Britain, and it will get good, honestly, on GB News. There's lots more coming up on today's show.
Yes, Britain marks its first ever National Day for Victims and Survivors of Terrorism. We'll speak to Brendan Cox, widower of murdered MP Jo Cox, about ensuring those affected are never forgotten.
But after the break, yes, a bit of light relief, possibly. Meghan Markle has reportedly been offered a major acting role in Britain as the Sussexes prepare to move home. We're going to be having a guess on what role she might be taking. All of that and much, much more to come. This is GB News, Britain's news channel. We'll see you very soon.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience, because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates,
5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5.
You got me. You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah. Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight.
On the unpredictable.
What did she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace
Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
Welcome to Free Speech Nation with me, Josh Howard. This is the show where each week we see what's happening in the world of culture, current affairs and politics.
First we'll say, welcome to the UK.
And we're not afraid to use our free speech so that you can use yours.
It's not controversial in the slightest to anyone who hasn't lost their mind.
Free Speech Nation, Sunday nights at 7 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain is not just a geographical expression. We are a people bound together by history and culture that are distinctively British. Join me to celebrate our music, theatre, artworks and literature, which we can explore and enjoy together.
Everybody's welcome.
Sunday with Michael Portillo, every Sunday at 11 a.m. on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
As soon as it hits 11 and the headlines come in,
The Late Edition brings you the breaking news from all the front pages.
because the news is going to happen.
So get a head start today.
Patrick Christie's Tonight, Late Edition.
Alex Armstrong Tonight, Late Edition. From 11 o'clock every night.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Good afternoon, Britain. It is 12:30 and we have got a story for you. You love this story, don't you, Mark? Go on.
Just when you think it couldn't get any worse.
Meghan could be heading back to the small screen as she and Prince Harry plan their return to Britain after 6 years in California.
Yeah, it comes amid reports that she's been offered a part in a new project, prompting the couple's move.
Yes, so what could it be? We've had a few thoughts, haven't we? Pulling pints at the Queen Vic in EastEnders. I think
This still gets me.
I think that wig
She really suits it, actually, yeah.
It does suit her. What about this one? Scrubbing up in Casualty?
Yeah, OK. How's her bedside manner?
Oh, I don't know enough. That's Harry, weren't we, about that one? And perhaps taking on Sybil in a revival of 40 Towers. Now, that actually suits her. I can see her in that.
Oh, yes, I know! Oh, yes, I know!
That's all.
I know!
Or maybe she could return to reality TV and head to the castles as a traitor. I think that's called typecasting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Any case, lots of you been having fun with that one, so please do keep them coming in as well. But there is a marvellous journalist who broke this story, a senior royal and entertainment reporter for news.com AU, Australia. Bronte Coy joins us now. Bronte, you actually broke this story. Congratulations. Do tell us more.
I don't know if you could hear me giggling there. I love those mock-up pictures, and your guesses are as good as mine when it comes to what she'll actually be cast in. What I have been told by my entertainment sources is that, you know, obviously conversations are quite advanced here, where she has been offered a role that's based here in the UK. I don't know if it's a movie or a TV series, and that's what we're going to find out, I suppose. But it's obviously exciting enough that it is a huge piece of the puzzle. But there are a lot of factors behind Harry and Meghan making this quite bombshell decision to move back to the UK. I think a lot of people have been taken quite by surprise, but we knew why Harry would probably want to do this. We have the elements to do with his family. We have Invictus Games in Birmingham in 12 months, which he's very focused on, and his links to his patronages here. And of course, they want the kids to have the British education. But the big question was always going to be, well, what will Meghan do here? Because as far as we knew, she didn't have strong ties to any sort of work commitments over here that we knew of. So this, for me, has answered a huge part of that in terms of, you know, why she might have been motivated at this time herself to be here. But, you know, EastEnders, great guess. I suppose we'll see if she pops up on there. But look, it is something I know she's very excited about. And you guys have so many incredible productions coming out of the UK. So there are actually quite a lot of picks for what it could be.
Well, Bronte, you know, one thing we didn't mention, perhaps she could, you know, go back on that sort of role, revise the role that she had in an American quiz show, the British version of Deal or No Deal. Do we have that particular? There you go. That's what she got, £75,000 she's revealing in a shocked manner in the box. I think that could be very good for her, that one.
We'll put that down as your guess. Look, I think that's probably highly unlikely, but who knows? Look, what I think we'll see is something brand new from her. Now, just to speculate, because quite honestly, details of this have been kept very, very closely held. We don't know what it is, as I said, but, you know, after leaving Suits, which was what she was so well known for before meeting Harry, she left Suits in 2017. Obviously, most people knew her as Rachel Zane on that. I can't imagine she'd return to anything overly similar to that. I would think after all her years away from acting, and that has been been a question that's been put to me. Is she going to be behind the camera or in front of it? We do know it's acting. We do know she will be playing a role. I think that she's probably going to want to do something quite different. So it is very interesting. I think it is a little bit unexpected, but at the same time, we saw a big clue of this at the end of last year when she dipped her toe back into this sort of work. She did a cameo. It was as herself, but of course it was in a movie, so it was playing a role, so to speak, in a movie called Close Personal Friends alongside Brie Larson and Jack Quaid, which hasn't been released yet, but we heard she loved being back on set. It obviously has whetted her appetite to do more of it, and I think that was probably the first big sign that this could be something she'd be interested in.
Bronte, I think you know more than you're letting on. I think it's going to be a big drama series. Go on. Go on, give us the dirt.
I promise you, when I have any information that I'm able to share, I will come back and we will talk about it.
But if you're a producer, the other thing is, you know, you've got a big budget drama. Is it actually, you know, getting Meghan Markle on board a net positive or a negative?
This is such a good question, because I've always sort of said this when we talk about Harry and Meghan's post-royal careers. You know, for better or worse, they really are kind of in a royal no man's land. They've had to carve a path that there's not really a blueprint of how this works. And we do know that, you know, they have very, very passionate supporters and they have very passionate critics, and everything they do does attract that level of attention, and on both sides of the spectrum. I don't know how that plays out when she then is cast in a movie. I think the natural interest is there. You know, if she's in a movie or if she's in a TV series, you know, there's going to be an initial watch. People will want to see what it's like, whether she's good on screen. They'll want to review her acting. But, you know, does that then sustain? Say it was a TV show. Does that sustain for a series? I think that these are all the questions. I don't know what the market value of that is, but at the same time, everything she does, you know, it does attract a lot of attention. And so you'd have to think, especially at the initial phase, there'd be a lot of excitement about having her sign on for a big project.
We know she's a great actress. Oprah Winfrey proved that.
Bronte, thank you so much for joining us today, and please do come back as soon as you know any more. We'll hold you to that. That's senior royal and entertainment reporter for news.com.au. Bronte Coy there. Lots of you getting in touch. Our blah blah remake for Meghan, Lives and Loves of a She-Devil. That's quite a good one, to be fair.
Yes. Right, OK, lots more coming up on today's show.
Yeah, Britain marks its first ever National Day for victims and survivors of terrorism. We'll speak to Brendan Cox, widow of murdered MP Joe Cox, about ensuring those affected are never forgotten.
All that and much more coming your way on GB News, Britain's #1 news channel.
Hi there and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. Bright spells for many of us today, but also showers. Frequent showers, heavy downpours, even some thunderstorms, and it's going to feel cool. One of the cooler days this summer, of course, with northerly winds and weather fronts moving through, providing a focus for downpours. Now, the most frequent showers will be across eastern parts of England, as well as Wales and the southwest. Where these showers occur, could be some rumbles of thunder and some very heavy rain for a short period of time. But not everyone will catch these showers. There'll be some drier and brighter weather out there, especially through central parts, western Scotland. Wherever you are, it's going to feel cool. Temperatures reaching 21 to 23 Celsius in the south, mid to high teens further north. Although for western Scotland, it's actually a dry day predominantly, with clear spells as we go into the evening. Showers further east and south, but these will be easing. There'll be fewer of them by the end of the day. Still some showers for Northern Ireland, not as lively as previous days this week. The bulk of the showers will still, into the evening, affect the north and east of England, central and southern parts, as well as the far southwest of Wales and the southwest of England. And they'll continue even after the sun goes down for a time, but eventually overnight, skies will be clearing, they'll be turning drier, and with that cool air in place, it's going to be a chilly night in some parts of the UK, with temperatures in sheltered parts of Scotland and northern England similar to the previous night, 3-4 degrees or so as we start off Saturday. Nevertheless, for most people, it's a dry start to the weekend, albeit on the cool side. Some patchy cloud here and there, still the odd shower, but mostly with high pressure in place for Saturday. It's dry, there'll be some sunshine. It's going to still feel cool, highs of 23 Celsius in the far south.
Thank thank you, Britain, for making GB News Radio such a huge success. Whether you're in the car, on the go, or listening at home, thank you for choosing us as your radio station.
Good afternoon. This is the latest AI travel news from GBNews.com. The M27 westbound is closed between junctions 9 and 8 in Bursledon. The M25 clockwise is closed between junctions 24 and 25 in Potters Bar. The M54 westbound is affected by a collision at junction 1 in Featherstone. In Scotland, the M8 eastbound has one lane restricted at junction 19 near Kingston Bridge. Across Wales, the A470 southbound at Corriton is congested. And on the trains, there is major disruption between Shenfield and Southend Victoria, and Avanti West Coast services are disrupted between Milton Keynes Central and Watford Junction. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Good afternoon, Britain. It is coming up to 22-1. And today marks the UK's first ever... we're not doing that story yet. OK, we are. We're doing that story in a minute. First, we're doing the story about English heritage. And they've announced that ice cream insurance to protect...
I think we're actually doing some views.
Oh, are we?
No, yes.
Right.
Because lots of people have been getting in touch saying, stop talking about Meghan and Harry.
Right.
Well,
No, this is...
OK.
Hold on. Now, this is what's annoyed me. Sorry, it's all going terribly wrong. But this is what annoyed me this morning, right? We've covered some really, really heavy, serious news that I think is making me angry, making lots of people angry. So when we're having a bit of a laugh with Harry and Meghan, and Mark and I, look, we're with you. Don't care either, do we? But we are having some fun with it. It's on the front of your... Right, now we can talk about ice cream. Hello, let's talk about ice cream. I know what I'm doing, obviously.
Yeah, basically, English Heritage has announced ice cream insurance to protect parents from the fallout when an ice cream goes splat.
Splat. It comes as 68% of Brits are too polite to ask for a replacement after dropping the ice cream cone. So let's go to GB News Yorkshire and Humber reporter Anna Riley to find out what's going on. Anna, what's going on?
That's a funny-looking ice cream you've got there in your hand.
Welcome to Scarborough. I can show you a huge one here. It's a little bit big for me to get in my mouth, even my mouth, but yes, we're at an ice cream vendor here. This one isn't offering that ice cream insurance, it's just an English heritage thing. But we were up there earlier today at the castle, 3,000 years of history there, and they were telling us all about this insurance that they've got running in August. It's called Splat Insurance, and it's all about making it a family day out. They say that there's nothing worse that ruins a good day out than coming to the seaside or going to another one of their attractions and a child or even an adult dropping their ice cream. Especially here as well, there's plenty of seagulls that can swoop in and nick your ice cream as well. So there's that special insurance in place that if you go to them with your cone and show them that it's dropped, they will give you a replacement absolutely free of charge. And we spoke to some people at Scarborough Castle earlier. This is what they told us.
Well, we wanted to come and look at the views and climb the tower and learn a bit of the history as well, and just it's just a very iconic place to come, so we've come out to look at it.
I like the history in Britain. I find it very interesting.
What is it that you like about it?
I think it's mostly what we did in the past, that we can learn from.
So there we go, that's what visitors to a little bit of a wet Scarborough are telling us today. I've just ordered an ice cream from this lovely gentleman here, and there's certainly plenty of flavours to choose from here. We can see jammy Dodger there, mint chocolate chip, chocolate, apple pie, Eton mess. We've even got licorice, Oreo, plenty of different ice creams to choose from. And here we go, there's a lovely wafer and a cone there in the cone there. Thank you, sir. So here we go. I've got my ice cream. There we go. Enjoying the wet weather in Scarborough with an ice cream.
You're dripping already by the looks of it. I had you down as a rum and raisin girl.
I panicked. I just thought something simple, vanilla. Go for it.
Oh, you can never go wrong with vanilla, I have to say.
She hasn't got Anna, you haven't even got a flake in it. That used to be my favourite.
Oh, she has got a flake in it.
Got a flake?
Yeah.
Oh,
do.
Yeah,
I
you
do.
have.
Got a flake and a wafer there as well. It's absolutely delicious. Really nice. Award-winning ice cream made in Filey.
Anna, we're going to make you eat an ice cream cone every hour that you're on. We're going to get you to go through all the flavours.
I won't complain about
that. Anna, thank you so much for having some fun. What's your I know what you're going to say. What's your favourite flavour? I'm sure we've had this conversation on air before. What's your favourite flavour?
I like rum and raisin.
I knew you would. I know, because it's involving alcohol. Is that possibly the reason?
Yeah, it's got a little bit of a kick to it. I do like it.
I like good old-fashioned strawberry, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Just old school girl. Any case, you can have that debate as well, and it really is going. What's your favourite ice cream? And are you too shy to complain when your ice cream falls off? I mean, it's like...
Well, this is how I can't understand this insurance thing. Well, I wouldn't complain because you dropped it, you dropped it.
You dropped it yourself.
You just go and buy another ice cream.
Well, I would have thought some of them are very expensive these days, aren't they?
Well, true.
Any case, do let us know. gbnews.com/your say or scan that QR code. This is indeed Good Afternoon Britain on GB News, and there's lots more coming up on today's show.
The Premier League is back, yes. Looking forward to that. Arsenal playing tonight as well. We're going to get you all the details that you need to know about the forthcoming campaign after the break.
Yeah, but also the important part of this story is players will continue taking the knee this season as part of football's anti-racism campaign.
That was inevitable.
But 6 years on, does the gesture still make a difference, or has it lost its meaning?
No and yes.
But if you are in search of some holiday sun, here's a forecast for those top European holiday destinations where they do lovely ice creams as well.
I forecast a perfect holiday in the sun.
Weather looking good then?
For sure, and no worries about our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Thunderstorms are affecting parts of southern Alpine regions. It's turning quite wet and windy across parts of Spain and Portugal throughout this weekend. That's thanks to this area of low pressure that will sweep up across parts of Portugal, Spain and then into France through the start of next week. Elsewhere, though, that thundery downpour across Alpine regions does tend to fade away into this weekend. And across the Mediterranean, it's looking nice and warm and sunny. And that theme does continue as we head into next week as well. Bye-bye.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
Becky, Chad and the beekeepers, Richard, Mohammed and James. Well, thank you all for coming. So tell us what happened.
So I got a phone call about 7:30 on Sunday evening from one of the rangers to tell us that there was a forest fire that was spreading quite rapidly and the bees were in danger, and if we could get down as soon as we could to get them out.
Oh, I suppose this is a real challenge, because bees, whilst they do flit around all over the place, they're pretty stuck to their colonies.
Yes, absolutely. The boys were the ones that were there.
When we approached it, the fire was quite close to the colonies, so we had to make a decision very quickly on whether or not to remove them from the apiary or keep them there and try and just water down the area. And after we saw flames on the horizon, we decided that, no, we've just got to make the decision to move the bees to a safer place, which we did.
GB News, the People's Channel. GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
I do think it's worrying that young people, I mean, are they I think they are more risk averse. Yes. I think they are scared of getting into personal space. I think you're right, there are issues about consent and everything else. But how sad that people say that it's been a year since they've been kissed. What is life for if you're not having a little kiss every now and again?
Yeah, the death of the kiss.
Apparently, much younger people now haven't had a good snog in over 12 months on average, the people that have been interviewed. But I would hazard a guess that that's because people are frightened. Men don't know when they can approach women anymore. Men can think 1 or 2 steps ahead on the same board, whereas a woman will think about 18 steps. So
I think you're overthinking it.
If a man takes you to Paris for the weekend, a woman will come back disappointed that they haven't proposed them, whereas a man thinks they've done a really great thing.
Why do men always think you're going to be proposed to in Paris? That you expect that. We don't expect
men
that.
are not
Just
emotionally
take us to
intelligent.
Paris.
The People's Channel.
mummy and daughter.
Yeah, and it only costs £70, so we thought, well, why not? Because it's cheaper than a supermarket shop.
Supermarket shop or spending the day in Benidorm with cheap booze.
It's a no-brainer, isn't it? It's a no-brainer.
And is there no chance you might just decide we're going to stay?
No, because my husband would kill me.
We did consider it because I said to my mum earlier on, we might just stay and miss the flight, but she's not up for it.
Has your husband actually visited Benidorm on his own?
No, he hasn't. I've been here 27 times. That's my daughter's first time. She's a Benidorm virgin. But
well,
my husband's never been.
Not that he's told you anyway, let's put it like that.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. At 10 to 1, it's time for the Great British Giveaway, and there's just a few hours left to grab your chance to win £60,000 in tax-free cash and a £5,000 real gold bar, which is increasing in value, by the way. Lines close at 4 o'clock today, so you want to get in right now. It's £65,000 prize in total. Here's Hayley Sparks with all the details of how to make it yours.
Hello from Downhall Hotel and Spa here in Essex. I'm here to tell you about the Great British Giveaway because time is running out. Lines close at 4 p.m. today. You could win a whopping £60,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. Maybe you'd have a luxury stay somewhere like here, put a new car in the drive, pay off the mortgage. The choice would be yours. You could also win a £5,000 gold bar. This would be a great investment for yourself, maybe for the grandchildren, for your children. You could see what it would be worth in 10 years' time. That's a combined prize value of £65,000. Remember, it's completely tax-free and we'll be with you in September. We have one guaranteed winner. We're counting down the hours, the minutes, the seconds. Lines close at 4 p.m. today. One text is all it takes and you could be our guaranteed winner. Here are all the details you need.
For a chance to win £60,000 in tax-free cash and a real gold bar, text GOLD to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB22 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 21st of August. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pulled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Yeah, good luck with that. Now, football fans, rejoice. The Premier League is back.
Yes, indeed. The new season will kick off at 8 o'clock this evening when defending champions Arsenal take on newly promoted Coventry City at the Emirates Stadium. And Premier League players will continue taking the knee. I didn't know this, right? Premier League players will continue taking the knee this season as part of football's anti-racism campaign.
Well, GB News sports reporter Lewis Henderson joins us now in the studio. Lewis, shock to Dawn and me as well that all these years later they're still taking the knee.
Yeah, that came after the captains of all the Premier League teams. This was according to a report. They all met and said, well, we're going to do it for another couple of games in October as part of Black History Month. It's become kind of a thing now. In October, players will take the knee.
All right, so after that, they're going to stop it?
Yes.
Oh, thank God.
That's just for a couple of the games, but it was the captains. They all came together, all 20 captains of the Premier League teams, and said, right, we're going to do that again.
And in, talking about the sport now properly, we don't have too long to wait for our first game, Arsenal tonight.
Yes, Arsenal against Coventry, newly promoted Coventry, and I mean Arsenal.
Whose position did they get in the Premier League?
I don't say.
Was it West Ham?
You are living very dangerously here, Mark White. We've still got a couple of hours to go. Yes, I mean, West Ham were relegated last season, and it was nothing to do with Arsenal. Maybe bending the rules a little bit in the box.
Yes, of course, and there is some new rules for this upcoming season where they're going to try and stop that a little bit, because there were so many goals last year where sometimes they didn't particularly give a decision one way, and then there was no clear lining. So I think now referees are going to try and be a little bit more black and white with things. But of course, Arsenal in action tonight against Coventry, newly promoted Coventry. Arsenal are going to be the team to beat again, which I know will be.
They're looking good already, the games that we've seen.
Yes, and particularly, you don't want to jump to conclusions from a Community Shield last Sunday, but they really, really looked good against Manchester City.
I have to jump to a few.
But it was interesting, Lewis, during the World Cup, we saw some regulations introduced about that wrestling in the box, which was one of the reasons that last season there was issues with Arsenal. Lots of other clubs weren't happy with how they got away with decisions about wrestling in the box when other teams were getting red cards for it and getting players sent off for it.
Yeah.
So those rules that were introduced during the World Cup, had they been moved over to the Premier League as well this season?
Some of them have, particularly with the time wasting. They're going to enforce that with the substitutions. That's the big one, where players will have to exit the field of play inside 10 seconds. I can see that catching a few players out, particularly on this opening weekend. Already in the lower pyramids, it's already caught out a few players. So I imagine that's what we'll see over this weekend.
And what about the games to look out for this weekend? Obviously, the Arsenal game tonight, but over the weekend, what are the big clashes that will be of note?
Plenty of big ones. Manchester United, they're the lunchtime kickoff tomorrow against Hull City. Spurs are the Saturday night game. They're playing Brentford away to Brentford. And then the Monday night game in West London, Chelsea against Fulham at Craven Cottage. So plenty of big games. And I think most fans will just be pleased to get the football going again, because it's only been just over 4 weeks since the World Cup final, but it feels like it's been ages. So, no, fans will be excited.
But obviously the lower leagues have already kicked off, haven't they? So there's also some interesting lower league games coming up this weekend as well.
Yeah, absolutely, across the Championship and the rest of the Football League. So, no. Plenty more to come.
OK, just who's going to get relegated this year then from the Prem?
Well,
on the spot.
We were doing this earlier, me and Paul Coy. I said Hull, Ipswich, and I reckon Coventry will stay up, but I think Fulham are going to be the other ones to go down this season.
But who's going to go up from the Championship?
That's a little bit tough to tell with how to see, but certainly West Ham.
Let's try West Ham, Lewis. Thank you. It's the right answer. You can definitely come back. That's Lewis Henderson, GBNews, the sports reporter there. Thank you so much for joining us. And you are living very dangerously, Mark White. Just want to put that one out there. OK.
This is Good Afternoon Britain on GB News. Lots more coming up on today's programme.
Yeah, indeed.
Join us at the top of the hour.
It's the final week to see how you could win over £65,000 in prizes. You could be our latest Great British Giveaway winner. First of all, we want to give you £60,000 in tax-free cash. Plus, you'll also receive a fine gold bar worth over £5,000.
For a chance to win, text GOLD to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB22 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 21st of August. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pulled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Bold. They are under no illusion. Ray, are you a human trafficker? Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get us on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it?
From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
What I'm going to do now, they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
I've been in Westminster for a long time, but I know that though power may be here, its effect on people's lives is across the whole of the country. We may be where rules are made, but it's where they're implemented that matters. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for forthright and frank discussion on where Britain has come from, where it's going, and where it will end up. That's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Vox Populi, Vox Day.
From cold mornings
to warm family brunches.
From football to tennis in the car.
In the kitchen.
GB News Breakfast is there. With the stories you need and the conversations that matter.
Anyway, let's talk business.
Well, it has been a historic night in British politics.
It's astonishing, isn't it? We're here again to start your day just right. GB News Breakfast.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Good afternoon, Britain. It's 1 o'clock on Friday, the 21st of August. I'm Dawn Neeson.
And I'm Mark White. Now, dramatic footage shows migrants attacking French police as officers slash their dinghy to stop it launching after Britain handed France another £662 million. Are the French finally getting tough on channel crossings?
And 2 Afghan illegal migrants have been convicted of raping a woman at knife point after treating her as an object. They offenders.
Terror victims remembered. Today, Britain is holding its first ever National Day for victims and survivors of terrorism to ensure that they're never forgotten.
And Britain's strictest head teacher has delivered GCSE results to rival Eton, with more than half of entries awarded the top grade. Does tough discipline get results? And are we wrapping today's children in cotton wool? We'll be debating that one later.
And yes, Meghan Markle has reportedly been offered a major acting role in Britain as the Sussexes prepare to move home. Could the former Suits... Oh, God, this is going to get...
Could the former Suits star be swapping California for Albert Square as the Queen Vic's newest barmaid? Mark, bless him, was so determined to get through that without doing what he did in the first
every time. Oprah Windsor's wig.
It actually quite suits her, though, to be fair. But Mark obviously failed miserably in his mission to keep a straight face. And you always get to read that bit out as well.
They're doing that deliberately. They put that bit for me to read.
So,
apologies, you deserve more professionalism from presenters.
Thank you so much for your company this afternoon, and please do. This show is all about you. There's lots of really heavy stories to cover today, which we are covering. Not the least the migrants and that blooming booklet, which I can't stop thinking about, to be honest with you. But we are having some light relief. It is a Friday afternoon, after all. So please do get in touch. gbnews.com/your-say or scan that QR code. And any more attempts to make Mark White cry with laughter, I will gratefully welcome. Please do get in touch. OK, all of that coming up after the news headlines with Tatiana Sanchez.
Thank you very much. The top story: security for the Duke and Duchess of Sussex upon their return to the UK could cost millions of pounds, a former police chief says, as uncertainty remains over how the protection for the couple will be funded. Prince Harry and Meghan's plan to move back to Britain was revealed on Wednesday night. The couple's children have already been enrolled in new schools, but little else is known about the royal homecoming, beyond the fact they will stay in a non-royal residence outside of London. Meanwhile, Meghan could return to acting once back in the UK, according to a report. The development has reignited questions about the Sussex's security, with Harry having lost a legal battle with the government last year after his protection was downgraded due to no longer being a working royal. Deputy Chairman of the Conservative Party, Matt Vickers, spoke to GB News.
I think it's positive that Charles is going to get to see his grandkids. We know he's aging somewhat. We've talked about his health. I think the other thing you've got to think about, we talk about publishing the details and the costs of people's security. Actually, when you look at what's happened to MPs and other public office holders in recent times, telling the bad guys, telling the people who would look to do them harm, what is being spent and how it's being spent is quite a dangerous thing. So I think there is a challenge there about transparency versus safety. And I think actually it's on the Home Office, it's on the police to look at the list, the risk, look at what is being threatened, what those challenges are, and make a proportionate and fair response to them. Nobody would want to see a situation where something was to happen to Harry and Meghan.
In other news, footage has emerged showing French police coming under attack as they attempted to intercept a migrant boat. Officers can be seen using pava spray to disperse migrants before deflating the dinghy by slashing it with a knife. It comes as a new elite French police unit has stopped 12 so-called taxi boats travelling up the coast to pick up migrants waiting to cross the Channel to Britain. The operation's part of the new £662 million UK-France deal aimed at tackling Channel crossings. French police units have prevented 185 small boat crossing attempts in the first 3 months of the deal. A man has been jailed for life for murdering his flatmate in the UK just 3 years after completing a prison sentence in Romania for a strikingly similar killing. 59-year-old construction worker Eugeniu Nimtu, known as Jimmy, was found guilty of fatally stabbing his flatmate and fellow Romanian 63-year-old George Treacher in Walthamstow in February. Judge Richard Marks KC jailed Nimtu at the Old Bailey for life with a minimum term of 27 years. Elsewhere, the government borrowed slightly more than expected in July, according to figures published, as Chancellor John Healey draws up his first budget. The Office for National Statistics said borrowing was £2.3 billion more than official forecasts from the Office for Budget Responsibility. Borrowing was £1.8 billion in July, two-thirds higher than the same month last year. Economists warned the figure will restrict Healey and the Prime Minister Andy Burnham's room for manoeuvre as they target measures aimed at easing the cost of living for households. Now, millions of former students are seeking compensation from universities over disrupted in-person teaching during COVID. Around 200,000 students have already joined the landmark legal claim against at least 88 universities, including KCL and LSE. The deadline for new claimants is fast approaching, that being this evening. And the world's oldest person is celebrating her 117th birthday after a year of many firsts, including meeting the King and holding his hand. Ethel Caterham, who lives at Hallmark Lakeview Care Home in Lightwater in Surrey, is spending the day with her family and friends to mark the occasion. In a statement, she said, "Thank you for all the kind birthday wishes. Even at 117, I've had many firsts this year, from stroking a llama to holding hands with the King." Those are the latest GB News headlines. More at 1:30.
You can now watch GB News live across the United States of America and the world on Truth Plus. Scan the QR code to find out more, or visit gbnews.com/truth.
Thank you, Tatiana. Now, new footage has been released showing French police coming under attack as they attempt to intercept a migrant boat.
Yes, as you can see on your screens now, officers can be seen using pepper spray to disperse migrants before deflating the dinghy by slashing it with a knife.
Well, French police say they've prevented 185 small boat crossing attempts in the first 3 months of the deal with France, a deal worth £662 million.
So, are we finally seeing some French resistance? Is the deal value for money? Channel crossings are down about 40% compared to last year, after all.
Well, the former Independent Chief Inspector of Borders and Immigration, John Vine, joins us now. John, good afternoon to you.
Hello, Mark.
Listen, you know, for every rare bit of imagery that the Home Office put out about the French being quite robust, we've got many more that show the French kind of standing around, not doing an awful lot. What's your sense of it? Are they getting more robust, or are these still just isolated incidents?
Well, what we've seen is the new French riot squad, made up of 50 members of the CRS, who've been trained to get into the water and stop the boats. They're actually now being deployed. So that's what we're seeing here. They're backed up by 75 other police officers. So it makes 125 French police officers who are authorised, trained to get into the water and stop the boats. Of course, that's still quite a small number if you think of the length of the French coastline and the fact that on any one day some of those officers will be off duty or on annual leave. But nevertheless, this is quite positive footage. You know, I remember we watched Chris Philp on a French beach a few weeks ago, and the gendarme said, well, we advise the people getting in the boat that it's unsafe, but we don't do anything. And so it's good to see that at least something is being done now to stop these boats in shallow waters.
John, is this actively part of the money we have given France? Is that where the money's being spent on what we're seeing now on our screens?
Well, it's been spent on more feet on the ground. It's also been spent on technology like the use of drones and improved intelligence to see, you know, if the authorities can direct the resources to where they think it's likely that these boats are being launched from. But the problem is that, of course, in response to the authorities, we've seen the mega boats, the mega dinghies now being launched, and of course launches taking place from Belgium and also further down the French coast. So it's a moving feast. The criminal gangs are changing their tactics all the time. And whilst there's been a good start this year in terms of reducing some of the numbers, I think there's still a long way to go.
And it's that point you mentioned, John, about the length of the coastline. We know, because there are increased numbers of police officers around Calais and Dunkirk in the north, that they're going way, way south, now way beyond Dieppe even, about 120, 130 miles away from those beaches in Calais and Dunkirk. And you just cannot police all of that coastline, and that's why they're changing their tactics, and they'll adapt and overcome, won't they?
Yes, they will. Well, they'll certainly adapt. What the authorities have to make sure is that they don't overcome. They need to catch up and be as agile as the criminal gangs in responding. As well, of course, the big threat is the lives of the people they're putting in the boats. The further they have to travel across the channel, the more likelihood is that the boat's going to, you know, capsize and people are going to lose their lives. But I think what we're seeing is the government are keen to show that something is happening as a result of spending this money. And they want to try and, I think, get ahead of the game on this. In the last few weeks, of course, we've seen people have been disturbed, I think, to see the mega dinghies, the situation in Ceuta. And only last, was it Wednesday this week, we had, again, an incident in Spain where a migrant boat came across the Mediterranean and landed on a beach in Murcia, I think. So people's optics, the optics of what's happening, are as important as the statistics.
John, isn't the truth of this situation, we do talk about it endlessly, and it's a huge worry to all our viewers and listeners, but isn't the truth about this situation is that this is never going to stop until we stop the pull factor that we currently have in the UK?
Yes, you're absolutely right. And in fact, earlier this week, there was the prefect in the northern France was saying, you know, perhaps that the French should actually look again at the Le Touquet Treaty. You know, it sets up the juxtaposed controls. You know, the French police in the UK and the British authorities checking people in France until, you know, until they see some evidence of the £660 million working. But the pull factor is the real issue. There are lots of pull factors. Macron last year, when he came to see Keir Starmer, you know, was saying, well, why don't you do something about your grey economy? You know, people are coming to Britain because they can easily find work. And that sort of thing is not really being addressed.
Mm-hmm. Indeed, yeah, that's a worrying point, isn't it? John, thank you so much for joining us today. That's a former Independent Chief Inspector of Borders and Immigration, John Vine there.
Thanks, John.
Yeah, finishing on a worrying note. OK, now we have a right of reply on this one. Shabana Mahmood, the Home Secretary, has said our new UK-France deal is already having a real impact, stopping crossings before they happen and disrupting the criminal gangs behind them. People smugglers should be in no doubt we're taking down their operations, seizing their equipment and breaking their business model for good.
OK, now in a related item, women and girls in Ceuta are reportedly facing sexual abuse at crisis levels, with at least 15 cases of sexual assault being reported. Now questions are being raised over why the issue has received so little attention and whether, of course, Europe's approach to mass migration is putting vulnerable women at risk.
OK, so let's talk to author and academic Joanna Williams, who has written an amazing article about this. Joanna, I say it's an amazing article. It is an amazing article, but it's also deeply depressing. Why are we not talking about what is going on in Ceuta more?
Yeah, I think the silence around this issue is really telling. And I think one of the reasons why is some in our media and political class like to present the view of migrants as being vulnerable. Angela Rayner has come out and talked about boats full of women and children, and we're supposed to feel sorry for migrants, whereas the reality is a lot more depressing. We've got young men, and some of them do not know not to sexually assault and rape women and girls. We see plenty of evidence of this day by day in our own country, very sadly. But also we've got, I think, a lot of responsibility needs to be put at the door of international organisations like Amnesty International, Save for Children, UNICEF, that again promote these very positive images of migration and are actually inadvertently encouraging women and girls to join in with mass migration as well. And then they become very vulnerable when they are left sleeping rough or in camps with men who behave badly towards them.
Yeah, I wonder if the Spanish authorities are handing out pamphlets to those coming over from the Morocco side, and whether that would make any difference.
Well, I don't think they are, and frankly, I don't think it would make any difference one way or another. What the Spanish authorities seem to be doing is quickly dealing with this issue by sending people to the mainland in Spain, essentially formalising their status as migrants. The story that they like to put about is that everything's under control. Many people have returned to Morocco. But I think when you look at what's actually going on the ground in Ceuta, that is simply not the case. And now unaccompanied children, especially girls, are being sent to the Spanish mainland, along with lots and lots of other migrants. My worry is, the men who are committing these sexual offences in the refugee camps around Ceuta, they could end up in Spain, and from at that point onwards, they've got membership of the European Union and are free to travel, potentially turning up in Calais and on a small boat over to the UK, unless we start taking the defence of our borders seriously.
Joanna, reading your report and doing some further research into what is actually going on the ground there myself, I mean, there are some appalling cases of young girls, girls as young as 10, being attempted to be raped by some of the migrants. Now, we're not talking about the local Spanish girls. We're talking about the migrant girls that came over, often with their families. These are the ones that are being abused. Some of the reports coming from the hospitals in Ceuta are just utterly horrific about what is happening.
No, absolutely. You're absolutely correct. But this is why it becomes so annoying, because you've got these organisations like Amnesty International and UNICEF who are putting out lots of reports saying that these girls are at risk, that these girls are vulnerable. And that's absolutely right. But point is, they're not just generally at risk. The threat that they're facing is not an abstract threat. It's a specific threat. It's a threat from the migrant men who are doing things like following them to the toilets, just constantly, it seems, hounding these young women and girls who are in an incredibly vulnerable situation, now sleeping rough in the countryside or on the streets in Soweto because the facilities have been overwhelmed there because of the sheer number of people who made the trip in one go. But I think unless we actually start to name who it is who is threatening these women and girls, we're never actually going to be able to deal with the problem.
Depressingly, Joanna, I mean, what can be done? Because you mentioned those in Soweto itself, but there's many, many thousands on the other side of the border in Morocco that are, of course, have travelled, that have queued, that are waiting to get across that border into the Spanish enclave, and amongst them will be some vulnerable women and girls.
I think that's right. I think there are two things that we've got to do. I think we need people in the West, as in this country and Spain, to, how can I put this politely, stop being so soft-hearted towards migrants and start being a bit tougher and taking the safety of women and girls a bit more seriously. We see in this country pop stars, people like Charlotte Church, Paloma Faith, who I think have the sheer audacity to call themselves feminists and yet are far more intent upon making us feel sympathy towards migrants than they are about worry about women and girls. And I think the point here is that when we promote migration, which is effectively what these celebrities and soft-hearted people, I would call them, are doing, they're actually putting women and girls at risk. You know, you put women and girls on a boat across the ferry, that's putting their lives at risk. You know, tell them to go off and sleep outside a reception centre in Soweto. You are putting them at risk. So we've got to kind of knock this on the head and be a bit tougher about the dangers that are facing these people. And then we also need to be a bit tougher, I think, about defending our borders and not just saying we're going to let anybody who wants to come to this country come here, irrespective of what the culture is like in the country that they've come from, how brutalised, sadly, they might be as individuals. We've got to own up to the fact that there may well be a risk here that they pose to potentially vulnerable people.
Joanna, thank you so much for joining us today. I could not disagree with a single word you've said. That's author and academic there, Joanna Williams, for you. Thank you so much.
The naivety of the idealist, isn't it, really? They need to just get into the real world and see what's happening out there rather than, you know, spouting forth views about, you know, their idea of what these people that are coming and breaking in to either Spain or indeed the United Kingdom actually bring with them, the type of people that are coming over.
I'm not saying all these people are bad. Of course we're not saying all these people are bad. But it is worrying, OK? If you have been affected by anything discussed, the Rape Crisis England and Wales support line is open 24 hours a day, every day of the year. You can ring 0808 500 2222. That's 0808 500 2222, and that's for free. Or you can visit their website to start a free online chat.
OK, this is Good Afternoon Britain on GB News. Lots more coming up on today's show.
Yeah, so Britain's strictest head teacher has delivered GCSE results to rival Eton, despite having very poor kids in her school. Does tough discipline get results? And are we wrapping today's children in cotton wool? We'll be having that debate after the break.
But first, of course, Britain is holding its first ever National Day for victims and survivors of terrorism to ensure that they're never forgotten.
All of that and much more to come. This is GB News, Britain's news channel. We'll see you soon.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Some people enjoy lazy Sunday mornings, but not me.
What's the truth of the matter? So that's a very live question. Would you support him if he waters down these plans?
Before the spin sets in, I'll be getting to the truth.
This is personal.
No soft questions, no easy answers.
It's one thing if the state has rules in this country. It's another thing whether the police and others actually police them.
Setting the agenda and holding those in power to account.
You can't really blame her if the system is set up this way. You will not want to miss it, trust me.
The Camilla Tominey Show, Sundays from 9:30, only on GB News.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain is not just a geographical expression. We are a people bound together by history and culture that are distinctively British. Join me to celebrate our music, theatre, artworks and literature, which we can explore and enjoy together.
Everybody's welcome.
Sunday with Michael Portillo. Every Sunday at 11 a.m. on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
As soon as it hits 11 and the headlines come in,
Late Edition brings you the breaking news from all the front pages.
because the news is going to happen.
So get a head start today.
Patrick Christie's tonight, Late Edition.
Alex Armstrong tonight, Late Edition. From 11 o'clock every night.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At the stroke of midnight, the news doesn't stop, and neither do we.
Day in, day out. Forget stuffy late night TV shows. We're giving you a front row ticket to the centre of the political universe.
Because breaking news doesn't wait for the morning.
And neither do we. Join us for one of the most controversial and volatile times of politics in human history.
A very big story.
Big story over here.
You won't get this anywhere else. The Late Show live at midnight, every night.
Only on GB News.
Welcome back. Well, today marks the UK's first ever National Day for victims and survivors of terrorism.
Yes, hundreds of survivors, bereaved families and emergency responders are gathering in London to remember those killed and injured in attacks across the country.
Well, the former Defence Select Committee Chair Tobias Harwood joins us now. Tobias, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon.
You know, all these years on, all these terrible atrocities that this nation and other nations have had to face. Are victims and survivors being looked after any better than they were?
Well, good afternoon. I'm very pleased this event is taking place, and indeed we are talking about it, because the simple answer to your question is no, they don't gain the same attention. They are in the headlines momentarily, but then the families, victims, and those who are injured, those surrounding and so forth, it then gets lost, and the support needs to go on. And to place it into perspective, terrorism, the use of violence, often targeting civilian populations to intimidate and coerce and promote a political or ideological cause, has been around for centuries. But it's the acts of terrorism which have fundamentally changed in recent years, with the attackers willing to die for their cause. We saw that in the 9/11 attacks, demonstrated just how individuals are willing to believe they're going to be sent to paradise for what they're doing. And sadly, we've seen a steady drumbeat of deadly attacks in the UK. The 7/7 bombings, the Lee Rigby attack, Westminster Bridge, London Bridge, and so forth. It's not just in the UK. There was an attack in Berlin only last month, where a car was weaponized to ram down pedestrians. And in dealing with the loss, the bereavement is always challenging, no matter how anybody does die. If dealing with an elderly parent, for example, regardless how much you prepare for the moment, it's always going to be tough. But losing somebody through terrorism acts another level of shock and trauma, I believe, that an individual, a friend, a loved one, has gone before their time. They're in the wrong place, should be alive today. And my brother was killed by an Al-Qaeda affiliate, and he was in that wrong place at the wrong time. The initial support by the police was good, short term, but there was no compensation, no insurance. Terrorism is treated separately from other forms of murder and so forth, and more needs to be done. So I'm very pleased that Travis Frayne himself, caught up in the Westminster Bridge attacks in 2017, has promoted this National Day for Victims and Survivors of Terrorism, which is taking place today.
Tobias, why are the victims treated differently?
It's because our system simply hasn't moved forward enough. Terrorism is not treated in the same way as, let's say, murder and so forth. So from an insurance perspective, if you go away on holiday, terrorism was never covered. And so if you are affected by terrorism, as opposed to some terrible event that might be separate, you don't receive the same insurance support. And likewise, the legislation in providing the mechanisms of mental health support and so forth have taken a while to catch up with the factors I've just tried to demonstrate, that terrorism, I'm afraid, is very much part of our world today.
Yeah, and obviously it's not just the compensation, but that whole wraparound support. My sort of reading of this, having covered many attacks over the years, is that you will see, of course, a great deal of attention that victims, survivors and their families receive for a while after an event, and then the news cycle moves on, and these poor people are just left, with this huge void in their life, and they don't get that same level of support over the longer term, Tobias.
No, that's absolutely right. When the Bali bombing took place, it was actually the Bali bombing survivors group, the friends and the family, that came together to provide that critical mutual support that's needed, but then to also fight to say, now we need to work together to get that compensation. If you require now a downstairs toilet because you have been injured because of the terrorist attack, it took such a long time to get the necessary paperwork and in order to get that funding to you. And then you just touched on it, the mental health aspects of it. One girl was actually in one of the toilets in the Irish bar in Bali. She went to the loo just at the time as the bomb went off. Everybody around her, including her friends, her great friends that she was with, killed completely. She was left, she survived, but the building came around down her. But her mental trauma that she went through, no support whatsoever, no funding to help her get through that traumatizing period and deal with the nightmare. And for many, they think they can cope as well. Particularly males are particularly bad at this. They sort of zip it up, but then it incubates inside you. It stays with you. And then 5-10 years down the line, it then comes back to haunt you. You need the support straight away to provide, whether it be physical or mental, to support those who are affected by terrorism.
Tobias, just quickly, because we are running out of time, unfortunately, what do you expect? What would help? What needs to be done after today?
Well, the government has actually conducted its own review. It needs to recognise that terrorism is on the rise. It needs to make sure that there is parity between the support given to victims of other forms of violence is on the same level as victims of terrorism. That's what we'd like to see.
OK, Tobias Harwood, thanks very much. Really appreciate your insight.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, it is interesting that how we do move on so quickly. It really is frightening. OK, this is Good Afternoon Britain on GB News. There is lots more coming up on today's show, but first it is time for the latest news headlines with Tatiana Sanchez.
Thank you very much. The top story. Security for the Duke and Duchess of Sussex upon their return to the UK could cost millions of pounds, a former police chief has said, as uncertainty remains over how protection for the couple will be funded. Footage has emerged showing French police coming under attack as they attempted to intercept a migrant boat. Officers can be seen using pava spray to disperse migrants before deflating the dinghy by slashing it with a knife. And the world's oldest person is celebrating her 117th birthday after a year of many firsts, including meeting the King and holding his hand. Ethel Caterham, who lives at Hallmark Lakeview Care Home in Lightwater in Surrey, is spending the day with her family and friends to mark the occasion. Those are the latest GB News headlines. More at 2 o'clock.
Tune in to GB News Radio wherever you are. Online, on DAB Digital Radio, on TuneIn, on Radio Player, on Nation Player and on your smart speaker. Just say, play GB News.
Thank you, Tatiana. Now, there's lots more coming up on today's show.
Yes, Britain's strictest head teachers delivered GCSE results to rival Eton. So does tough discipline get results, and are we wrapping today's children in cotton wool?
Well, there's much more to come. This is GB News, Britain's news channel. We'll see you soon.
Hi there and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. Bright spells for many of us today, but also showers. Frequent showers, heavy downpours, even some thunderstorms, and it's going to feel cool. One of the cooler days this summer, of course, with northerly winds and weather fronts moving through, providing a focus for downpours. Now, the most frequent showers will be across eastern parts of England, as well as Wales and the southwest. Where these showers occur, could be some rumbles of thunder and some very heavy rain for a short period of time. But not everyone will catch these showers. There'll be some drier and brighter weather out there, especially through central parts, western Scotland. Wherever you are, it's going to feel cool. Temperatures reaching 21 to 23 Celsius in the south, mid to high teens further north. Although for western Scotland, it's actually a dry day predominantly with clear spells as we go into the evening. Showers further east and south, but these will be easing. There'll be fewer of them by the end of the day. Still some showers for Northern Ireland, not as lively as previous days this week. The bulk of the showers will still, into the evening, affect the north and east of England, central and southern parts, as well as the far southwest of Wales and the southwest of England. And they'll continue even after the sun goes down for a time, but eventually overnight, skies will be clearing, they'll be turning drier, and with that cool air in place, it's going to be a chilly night in some parts of the UK, with temperatures in sheltered parts of Scotland and northern England similar to the previous night, 3-4 degrees or so as we start off Saturday. Nevertheless, for most people, it's a dry start to the weekend, albeit on the cool side. Some patchy cloud here and there, still the odd shower, but mostly with high pressure in place for Saturday. It's dry, there'll be some sunshine. It's going to still feel cool, highs of 23 Celsius in the far south.
Thank you, Britain, for all of you who listen to GB News Radio.
Whether you're at home or on the go, you're making us Britain's news channel and Britain's radio station.
Good afternoon. This is the latest AI travel news from GBnews.com. The M27 at Junction 2 in Romsey is closed, with the M20 westbound queuing between junctions 13 and 12 at Cheriton. In Scotland, the M8 eastbound has queues between junctions 25A and 25, with 4 lanes restricted. Across Wales, the A470 southbound at Corriton is congested, and on the trains, Greater Anglia services are facing major disruption between Shenfield and Southend Victoria, while Avanti West Coast services are disrupted between Milton Keynes Central and Watford Junction. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Well, welcome back to Good Afternoon Britain. And Britain's strictest head teacher has slammed gentle parenting for leaving youngsters unable to take responsibility.
Yeah, Catherine Burblesing says she gets the most hate when her school posts top GCSE results because critics don't like what they say about strict discipline.
So, are we wrapping our children up in cotton wool?
So let's have a heated debate, shall we? Parenting and lifestyle expert Annette Kello and CEO and founder of Dad's House, Billy McCranagan, join us now. Let's come to you first, Annette. I mean, Catherine Burblesing, she runs the academy in a very poor part of London. She gets amazing results with kids from very poor working class backgrounds. But she's incredibly strict. She's known as Britain's strictest head teacher. So is she coming at it from the right angle? Is strictness the way forward?
Good afternoon. I think there's nothing wrong with a bit of strictness, actually. And perhaps we've got a lot of parents that are being a bit sloppy Giuseppe, as in their child doesn't want to do sports day, don't worry about it. You want to have a duvet day, don't worry about it. You don't want to join in with stuff at school. Oh, you want to have a holiday in term time? No problem, I'm going. And what you have then is this sort of push-pull situation with the school. On one side, they get annoyed with the school if it's not up to scratch of what they believe. But on the other side, they want to do what they want. So parenting starts at home with good kindness, manners, and guess what? A little bit of hard work too.
Billy, parents and also pupils are being overly indulged.
Well, I think what Catherine has achieved is absolutely fantastic. It really, really is, especially in central London. But I think it goes down with the parents that they have to do more, but children have to relax as well and have a great time. They have to get on the football field, get on the cricket, get on the terrace, go for walks, climb the trees, and just be kids, you know, and it all stems as well from early years. So go back to what I said a minute ago from the parents. They learn from the parents, they learn from the friends, which is so important. In Dad's house, we have breakfast clubs, and in our breakfast clubs, the children are not allowed to leave the table until everyone finishes their breakfast. No telephones whatsoever, and it's brilliant. The young kids look up to the older kids, and the older kids teach the younger kids, and they absolutely love it. And as I said, they learn from each other. You know, they learn the social aspect of eating together, using a knife and fork. You know, so I wouldn't change it for all the tea in China.
OK, Annette, I mean, there's a story in the papers today that illustrates how soft we are being, if that's the correct word, with youngsters, about how we are dumbing down some of the language, some works of literature, because it's not quite right for kids of today. That's an example of sort of, as you say, sort of like not toughening kids up. And, you know, if you're struggling, well, struggle a bit, but learn from it.
Exactly. There was also an article out today in the Times that talked about if your child doesn't like school. And actually, some of the advice it was giving was don't reinforce that they have anxiety and that school is terrible. They weren't saying to not recognize they might have some sort of problems, but it's not about saying you can't do it. And I think that's what we have a problem with, particularly in the UK. I think children are way more clever than we allow them for. And if you look at the numbers in school at the moment, you know, we have a persistent absence rate at 18% currently, whereas 10 years ago it was 4.6. So we do have a problem with absence and how that correlates with parenting. So I think that good kids don't just magically appear. They need to be the parents' love and also a good education and great discipline.
Billy, some of the things you were highlighting before are really good and really positive things that, you know, children should be absolutely encouraged to go into. But maybe outside school, when you're in the classroom, you're in the classroom. You've got to knuckle down, haven't you?
Oh, absolutely. And no one's saying that they shouldn't be doing that. But what I'm saying, what I say and what our dads say, they love being with their kids. And there's ways of disciplining children without disciplining. You can talk to them, you can teach them, and they learn from their parents. And as Annette says, love and kindness should come naturally, you know, and in Dad's house, that's what our dads do on a daily basis. You know, we've got Dad's table, we've got breakfast clubs, we've got football, and all we do is talk about the kids, good and bad.
OK, thank you so much. That's Annette Kello and CEO and founder of Dad's House, Billy McCranagan. Thank you so much for joining us on that one.
Of course, when we were young...
I was just going to say that.
Corporal punishment.
You did.
That was an incentive.
Exactly. And if you were naughty at school, your parents would clip you around the ear and make you go back and apologise to the teacher. Now, parents will go back and clip the teacher around the ear.
And did you ever get the cane done?
I didn't know. Did you? Did you?
Well, we didn't have the cane in Scotland. It was the strap, this big leather belt that they used to hammer down.
Did you get that?
Yeah.
Wow.
Many times. It won't come as a surprise, I'm sure.
Did it work?
It was sore.
Well,
I'll leave it to you to decide whether it worked or not.
No.
It was certainly sore.
I do think that if you are trying to prepare youngsters to stand on their own 2 feet in a world that appears to be getting increasingly tough, then you can't wrap them up in cotton wool. They have to learn that there are winners, there are losers, and sometimes you have to fight to survive, and you do have to knuckle down, and not everything is going to go your way.
Yes, Tabitha and Timmy, you need to just... toughen up.
Yeah, exactly. In any case, one thing that could go your way is the Great British Giveaway. And there is just a few hours left to enter, evidently. Hayley Sparks has all the details for you.
Hello from Downhall Hotel and Spa here in Essex. I'm here to tell you about the Great British Giveaway because time is running out. Lines close at 4 p.m. today. You could win a whopping £60,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. Maybe you'd have a luxury stay somewhere like here, put a new car in the drive, pay off the mortgage. The choice would be yours. You could also win a £5,000 gold bar. This would be a great investment for yourself, maybe for the grandchildren, for your children. You could see what it would be worth in 10 years' time. That's a combined prize value of £65,000. Remember, it's completely tax-free and we'll be with you in September. We have one guaranteed winner. We're counting down the hours, the minutes, the seconds. Lines close at 4 p.m. today. One text is all it takes and you could be our guaranteed winner. Here are all the details you need.
For a chance to win £60,000 in tax-free cash and a real gold bar, text GOLD to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB22 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 21st of August. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pooled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Good luck with that one. We were just discussing during that little clip where you were watching it. We were discussing how our Dawn and Mark, our school, are bringing up children. There's a reason neither of us have children, by the way. I don't think they'd live very long, to be honest with you. In any case, this is Good Afternoon Britain on GB News. There's lots more coming up on today's show.
Meghan, oh no, I'm not even going to try this. You.
No, go on, Mark. I insist. Go on, Mark. Go on, concentrate, Mark. You can do this.
Meghan Markle has reportedly been offered a major acting role in Britain as the Sussexes prepare to move home. Now you take it.
No, that's a whisk. OK, could she be pulling pints in the Old Vic in EastEnders, though? What do you reckon, Mark? He can't talk, he's frightened and laughing. We'll be taking some guesses on that one, and please do join in the fun. But first, let's have a quick break for the travel weather.
I forecast a perfect holiday in the sun.
Weather looking good then?
For sure, and no worries about our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations forecast.
Thunderstorms are affecting parts of southern Alpine regions. It's turning quite wet and windy across parts of Spain and Portugal throughout this weekend. That's thanks to this area of low pressure that will sweep up across parts of Portugal, Spain and then into France through the start of next week. Elsewhere, though, that thundery downpour across Alpine regions does tend to fade away into this weekend. And across the Mediterranean, it's looking nice and warm and sunny. And that theme does continue as we head into next week as well. Bye-bye.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations forecast.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
I remember it vividly, the first dogfight over Biggin Hill, over New Addington. And this particular morning, the war started. My mother had asked me to go and get her a pint of beer from there. She wasn't a drunkard or anything, but she liked to drink on a Sunday morning. So she said, son said, go down and get me a bottle of beer, will you? I mean, all was quiet in the Western Front. So I said, yes, Mum. So I'm going down the road now. I hadn't gone quarter of a mile, and all of a sudden there's this confusion, all this noise and that, zooming and banging. I thought, what on earth's that? And I looked up, and there they were, dog fighting over New Addington.
GB News, the People's Channel. Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
Joining us now is Head of Advocacy at Big Brother Watch, Jack Colson. Jack, interested to know your view on this. You know, why shouldn't I be able to wear my Meta glasses around?
Well, certainly there are times and places where Meta glasses might be of use, particularly for those with visual impairments. The technology really could be a breakthrough, but we see these as the tip of an iceberg. Meta's glasses have already been potentially linked to facial recognition technology, which really would be a stalker's charter. And we are operating in an environment where perpetrators of harassment feel safe to use this technology when really it's the public who ought to feel safe. So the government ultimately are going to have to explore restrictions on this kind of technology, and we're seeing civil society push back.
GB News, the People's Channel.
I have a real treat for you, because I have found women. Yes, and these women are badly behaved in Benidorm, and they've been here for, how long have you been here?
Since Tuesday.
Yeah, just a week this time. Normally we do 2 weeks, but just a week this time.
And whereabouts in the UK are you from?
From Surrey.
Surrey. Manchester. Salford.
Doncaster.
Quite the mix, I would say. Are you getting ready to go into the Strip?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, why not? It's iconic.
We do culture first and then the Strip. That's the right way round, right?
If you say so. Will you be out on the Strip?
Most definitely, yet again.
And what's so attractive about it?
The Strip or the culture?
The Strip.
What am I allowed to say on TV?
GB News, the People's Channel.
Go for it, Mark. Oh, for God's sake. Good afternoon, Britain. It is coming up to 10 to 2, and Mark can't do anything anymore to do with Meghan Markle because he just absolutely keeps wetting himself laughing. I'm sorry, that's not a pleasant image for you. Any case, Meghan could be heading back to the small screen as she and Prince Harry plan their return to Britain after 6 years in California. Mark.
It's more of an age thing than necessarily me laughing. But anyway, it comes amid reports that she'd been offered a part in a new project prompting the couple's move. So what could it be? I said, so that she could do the next bit.
OK, go on. Pulling pints at the Queen Vic in EastEnders. You love this picture. Go on.
I just love the wig, honestly.
I'm not sure. Not sure it's seen.
This is our exec producer, Meg, and you've just really gone above and beyond.
I think it actually suits her. What about scrubbing up in Casualty?
Yeah.
Bedside manner?
Well.
Or perhaps, oh, go on, you do this one. You love this one. Go on, you can do it. Come on, Mark, go for it. You can concentrate.
This is indeed Sybil Fawlty in Fawlty Towers.
For those of you who might have had trouble identifying that one, and I'm not going to get it, or maybe as Nessa's long-lost sister in Gavin and Stacey.
And I don't think we have that as yet.
Yes. Oh. No, that looks more like Stacey Solomon.
Well, she come and tidy your house, I guess. Right, so we can join the royal editor of The Telegraph, Hannah Furness, now. Sorry for all this mucking about. It's been ridiculous over the last couple of hours. What do you think she's coming?
Clarify that those were AI images, just in case anybody wasn't sure that she wasn't Sybil Fawlty.
Well, I mean, wasn't it good? And I do love the Barbara Windsor one is the best, without a doubt. Any indication, could she be going to EastEnders?
I mean, it's fairly safe to say that's a no. She's represented by excellent US agents on this front. You would like to think they thought about this very carefully, and it's more a high-end movie situation than Two Bit Soap, but let's wait and see.
Hannah, on a serious note with Harry and Meghan returning to the UK, a couple of issues spring to mind. I mean, you know, on one hand, they can't come back over here because there's a huge security issue which doesn't seem to have been rectified, so what's that about? And when they left, they said, they pretty much implied we're a racist hellhole. So what's changed there as well?
It's a difficult dots to join up, isn't it? The reality is, Harry has always said that he loves Britain. He wants to return to Britain. His argument behind the scenes is that he's never actually criticised Britain or the British people. It's elements of Britain that he hasn't liked, so the British press being one of them, and the institution of the royal family that he feels didn't give him and Meghan much support. The security situation, you know, it was only a month ago that we were being told it wasn't safe enough to bring his wife and children here. So there's clearly been a huge shift in his thinking. We're not aware yet that the details of the security have changed. I'm sure we will find that out in the coming days and weeks. There'll have to be some resolution of this ahead of him moving his family here. But there has clearly been a huge shift in his thinking and his mentality towards his homeland in order for this to have come about.
OK, Hannah, we've got to end it there. Sadly, we're just up against the hard break. But thank you very much indeed for joining us.
OK, this is Good Afternoon Britain on GB News. Lots more coming up on today's show, so don't move a muscle. It's time for the weather, though.
Today, clouds overhead, total zen within. Box Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hi there and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. Bright spells for many of us today, but also showers. Frequent showers, heavy downpours, even some thunderstorms, and it's going to feel cool. One of the cooler days this summer, of course, with northerly winds and weather fronts moving through, providing a focus for downpours. Now, the most frequent showers will be across eastern parts of England, as well as Wales and the southwest. Where these showers occur, could be some rumbles of thunder and some very heavy rain for a short period of time. But not everyone will catch these showers. There'll be some drier and brighter weather out there, especially through central parts, western Scotland. Wherever you are, it's going to feel cool. Temperatures reaching 21 to 23 Celsius in the south, mid to high teens further north. Although for western Scotland, it's actually a dry day predominantly with clear spells as we go into the evening. Showers further east and south, but these will be easing. There'll be fewer of them by the end of the day. Still some showers for Northern Ireland, not as lively as previous days this week. The bulk of the showers will still, into the evening, affect the north and east of England, central and southern parts, as well as the far southwest of Wales and the southwest of England. And they'll continue even after the sun goes down for a time, but eventually overnight, skies will be clearing, they'll be turning drier, and with that cool air in place, it's going to be a chilly night in some parts of the UK, with temperatures in sheltered parts of Scotland and northern England similar to the previous night, 3-4 degrees or so as we start off Saturday. Nevertheless, for most people, it's a dry start to the weekend, albeit on the cool side. Some patchy cloud here and there, still the odd shower, but mostly with high pressure in place for Saturday. It's dry, there'll be some sunshine. It's going to still feel cool, highs of 23 Celsius in the far south.
Today, clouds overhead, total zen within. Box Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
It's the final week to see how you could win over £65,000 in prizes. You could be our latest Great British Giveaway winner. First of all, we want to give you £60,000 in tax-free cash. Plus, you'll also receive a fine gold bar worth over £5,000.
For a chance to win, text GOLD to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB22 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 21st of August. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pooled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Do you trust what you're being told? Good,
because neither do I.
Those are just facts.
I'm Alex Armstrong, and on my show, we'll expose the spin.
Well, I want to answer that because you didn't let me last time, because you always speak over me.
The broken promises.
To deny that is denying the truth.
And the hypocrisy.
Needs to
stop.
You think we can allow?
Politics, policy, parliament. Nothing is off limits. No sugarcoating, no fear of offence, just the truth laid bare. Tune in every Saturday and Sunday at 9 p.m. for Alex Armstrong Tonight, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
As soon as it hits 11 and the headlines come in,
Late Edition brings you the breaking news from all the front pages.
because the news is going to happen.
So get a head start today.
Patrick Christie's Tonight, Late Edition.
Alex Armstrong Tonight, Late Edition. From 11 o'clock every night.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I've been in Westminster for a long time, but I know that though power may be here, its effect on people's lives is across the whole of the country. We may be where rules are made, but it's where they're implemented that matters. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for forthright and frank discussion on where Britain has come from, where it's going, and where it will end up. That's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Vox Populi, Vox Dei.
From cold mornings
to warm family brunches.
From football to tennis in the car.
In the kitchen.
GB News Breakfast is there. With the stories you need and the conversations that matter.
Anyway, let's talk business.
Well, it has been a historic night in British politics.
It's astonishing, isn't it?
We're here again.
To start your day just right. GB News Breakfast.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. It's 2 o'clock on Friday, the 21st of August. I'm Dawn Neeson.
And I'm Mark White. Now, dramatic footage is showing migrants attacking French police as officers slashed their dinghy to stop it launching after Britain handed France another £662 million. Are the French finally getting tough on channel crossings?
Meanwhile, 2 Afghan illegal migrants have been convicted of raping a woman at knife point after treating her as an object they could use and abuse. As the Home Office hands new arrivals leaflets explaining rape and consent, can a booklet ever protect women from dangerous offenders?
And stand by for breaking news. Prince Harry could be hit with a multi-million-pound legal bill after losing his privacy case against the Daily Mail's publisher. Just how much will his courtroom defeat cost him? We'll soon find out.
And Britain is remembering its first ever National Day for victims and survivors of terrorism to ensure they're never forgotten.
Bridget Phillipson says young men are being dragged into violent misogyny by the cesspit of social media and Andrew Tate-style influencers. But critics accuse her of ignoring growing concerns about violence against women involving migrants. Is the Equalities Minister completely out of touch?
And in a lighter note, in a pledge to stop the meltdowns, English Heritage has announced an ice cream insurance to protect parents from the fallout when an ice cream goes splat this summer.
In Brits say it's polite to go back and ask for a replacement if they drop their ice cream, and that's despite 70% of them saying it ruins their day at a seaside like this one if that happens.
And a very special happy birthday to the world's oldest person, Ethel Kitteram from Surrey, who turns 117 today. Wow, 117, Ethel. Congratulations.
Yeah, Ethel, happy birthday, lovely. What an amazing life. Can you imagine what she has seen in her lifetime 117 years ago to now? All the changes, the technology. It's just quite incredible.
That's a good old innings, I have to say. Well done.
It really is. Yeah, happy birthday, Ethel. We are talking about loads of things today. Obviously, we're talking about the migrants and the small boat section. We're also talking about, to me, what Bridget Phillipson has said as well about our, the safety of women and girls in this country being the fault of white working class boys, and blaming Andrew Tate, kind of. It's getting very confusing, but you do have to ask, not for the first time, our politicians reading the room, are they actually aware of what we are concerned about?
It's completely tone deaf. It really is.
I have no idea, but we will be discussing that one. So please do get your views coming in on that and all the stories we're talking today about, including ice creams going splat. GBNews.com/your say or scan that QR code. All of that coming up after news headlines with Tatiana Sanchez.
Thank you very much and good afternoon. The top stories at 2 o'clock. Security for the Duke and Duchess of Sussex upon their return to the UK could cost millions of pounds, a former police chief has said, as uncertainty remains over how protection for the couple will be funded. Prince Harry and Meghan's plan to move back to Britain was revealed on Wednesday night. The couple's children have already been enrolled in new schools, but little else is known about the royal homecoming beyond the fact they will live in a non-royal residence outside London. Meanwhile, Meghan could return to acting once back in the UK, according to a report. The development has reignited questions about the Sussex's security, with Harry having lost a legal battle with the government last year after his protection was downgraded due to no longer being a working royal. Deputy Chairman of the Conservative Party, Matt Vickers, spoke to GB News.
I think it's positive that Charles is going to get to see his grandkids. We know he's aging somewhat. We've talked about his health. I think the other thing you've got to think about, we talk about publishing the details and the costs of people's security. Actually, when you look at what's happened to MPs and other public office holders in recent times, telling the bad guys, telling the people who would look to do them harm, what is being spent and how it's being spent is quite a dangerous thing. So I think there is a challenge there about transparency versus safety. And I think actually it's on the Home Office, it's on the police to look at the list, the risk, look at what is being threatened, what those challenges are, and make a proportionate and fair response to them. Nobody would want to see a situation where something was to happen to Harry and Meghan.
Footage has emerged showing French police coming under attack as they attempted to intercept a migrant boat. Officers can be seen using pava spray to disperse migrants before deflating the dinghy by slashing it with a knife. It comes as a new elite French police unit has stopped 12 so-called taxi boats travelling up the coast to pick up migrants waiting to cross the channel into Britain. The operation is part of the new £662 million UK-France deal aimed at tackling channel crossings. French police units have prevented 185 small boat crossing attempts in the first 3 months of the deal.
I don't believe that we're getting value for money from France with this deal to stop migrant crossings. The crossings are getting higher and higher. The government is saying that they've reduced them, but the last 3 months have been worse than the 3 months beforehand. The real problem is that Labour came into office and stopped the Rwanda plan. That was the third country deterrent that meant the people coming to our country illegally would be processed elsewhere. Labour stopped that plan. They didn't have any other plan in place. They're asking France to help. France has an even bigger problem than we do. So what I say is that Labour should look at our borders plan. We have a proper plan that will put this to an end. That borders plan does mean we need to leave the ECHR, use our own rights, our own laws in this country to maintain rights, and stop the boats permanently.
A man has been jailed for life for murdering his flatmate in the UK just 3 years after completing a prison sentence in Romania for a strikingly similar killing. 59-year-old construction worker Eugeniu Nimtu, known as Jimmy, was found guilty of fatally stabbing his flatmate and fellow Romanian 63-year-old George Trika in Walthamstow in February. Judge Richard Marks, KC, jailed him at the Old Bailey for life with a minimum of 27 years. Elsewhere, the government borrowed slightly more than expected in July, according to figures published as Chancellor John Healey draws up his first budget. The Office for National Statistics said borrowing was £2.3 billion more than official forecast from the Office for Budget Responsibility. Borrowing was £1.8 billion in July, two-thirds higher than the same month last year. Economists warned the figure will restrict Healey and Andy Burnham's room for manoeuvre as they target measures aimed at easing the cost of living for households. And the world's oldest person is celebrating her 117th birthday after a year of many firsts, including meeting the King and holding his hand. Ethel Caterham, who lives at Hallmark Lakeview Care Home in Lightwater in Surrey, is spending the day with family and friends to mark the occasion. In a statement, she said, "Thank you for all of the kind birthday wishes. Even at 117, I've had many firsts this year, from stroking a llama to holding hands with the King." Those are the latest GB News headlines. More in half an hour.
You can now watch GB News live across the United States of America and the world on Truth Plus. Scan the QR code to find out more, or visit gbnews.com/truth.
Good afternoon, Britain. It is coming up to 9 minutes past 2, and we have some breaking news for you.
Yes, Prince Harry and 6 other high-profile figures will have to pay the Daily Mail's publisher £9.5 million, of course, after losing that High Court case against the Daily Mail publisher.
Yes, the Duke of Sussex, Sir Elton John and others sued associated newspapers over allegations of unlawful information gathering. We will return to this story with more detail from our royal correspondent Cameron Walker very soon. Cameron is at the court for us and will have all the details for us.
But that breaking news at this hour, then, is that £9.5 million is the amount of legal costs, effectively, that the High Court has ruled that those individuals will now have to pay after failing in their case against associated newspapers. And those individuals, of course, well, Prince Harry is one, Sir Elton John another, Doreen Lawrence, of course, the mother of the murder victim Stephen Lawrence, Liz Hurley as well, we're also told. Actually, when you look at £9.5 million, it's a substantial sum. Obviously it is. Split between 6 people, £1.5 million each. I can't imagine they're going to make Sir Elton John, surely, wouldn't make Doreen Lawrence pay £1.5 million, but let's see.
Yeah, that was obviously following defeat in the High Court in London last month. We are waiting to join Cameron, who will have all the full details on that story for us. It included actor Sadie Frost as well.
Yeah.
So
I mean, £9.5 million, is to say, it's a substantial sum, but with everyone playing their part, £1.5 million, I don't think it's going to eat too much into Prince Harry's budget for his Cotswold mansion or wherever he's going to live when he comes across here with Meghan Markle. But clearly, there's going to be still, having said that, a bitter disappointment for them, a bitter pill to swallow, the fact that they're having to pay any money at all. They brought this campaign against associated newspapers, accusing them of all kinds of privacy infractions and criminality, effectively. They lost that particular lawsuit against associated newspapers, and now, of course, they're having to pick up the legal costs, as you do if you lose a case.
Interesting timing, obviously, as it is announced that Harry and Meghan are returning to the UK. Let's go now live to GB News royal correspondent Cameron Walker, who is at the Royal Courts of Justice for us. Cameron, give us the details, please.
Yeah, a pretty hefty legal bill for Prince Harry and the other claimants who sued unsuccessfully associated newspapers, the publisher of the Mail and the Mail on Sunday, and the £9.5 million figure that all claimants must pay collectively by the 28th of August at 4 p.m, which is, of course, just a week's time, could only be an interim payment. So the judge ruled that the cost should be calculated on what's called the stricter indemnity basis. That is essentially what the lawyers of associated newspapers asked the judge for, because it means, the reason being is that because the claimants brought such a broad case, including serious allegations of criminality against a number of associated newspapers journalists, they had to spend much more money defending the integrity of their journalism and defending the company itself, Associated Newspapers. So the judge said that the claimants did not merely lose, but the case was conducted in what the judge sees as a highly unreasonable way. So the judge, Mr. Justice Nicklin, says his reasons include that the case, as I said, was exceptionally broad. There were serious allegations against a number of people. Some of the allegations were pursued, he says, without enough supporting evidence. The allegations were not withdrawn when they could no longer properly be maintained. In other words, allegations that the claimants were putting forward, they kind of realised they didn't have enough evidence or couldn't win that particular claim and then withdrew it during the course of the trial. And the claims that had not formed part of the original case were then put to witnesses during the course of the trial. So Associated Newspapers defending the case say that it cost them £34.5 million to defend the case, and the judge described this figure as exceptionally high and unprecedented for a case of this type. He also refused to set a maximum amount that Associated Newspapers could recover. But this does not mean that Associated is going to automatically receive from the claimants, including Prince Harry, £34.5 million. And a specialist cost judge is going to have to examine the legal bill at a later date. So to summarise, Prince Harry and others, including Elton John, Baroness Furness, David Furness, Baroness Lawrence even, and Sadie Frost and the other claimants as part of this case will have to pay £9.5 million by 4 p.m. on the 28th of August, so a week today. That is only the first payment, but another thing to point out, of course, is that the claimants, including Prince Harry, did take out insurance in case they lost this trial. So that 9.5 million figure is going to be swallowed up by that insurance payment. But that will only go so far. So the question is, whatever this specialist cost judge decides, is that figure going to be covered by insurance, or is Prince Harry and the other claimants going to have to pay out of their own pocket?
Is a very pertinent point there, Cameron. It was the wide-ranging nature of the allegations that they threw at Associated Newspapers that clearly meant they had to get very deep and involved in their defence across a number of different individuals, and it was a hefty legal bill. And it does seem, OK, they might not get the £30+ million that they're calling for, but even if a judge goes part way to that, that's going to be a very significant extra cost that could be coming the way of those individual claimants that have, lost the case.
Absolutely, and of course, Mark, I've just received a statement from Associated Newspapers, so I'm going to read that in full for you. Associated Newspapers spokesman said, in another overwhelming victory for the Mail and its journalism, the High Court today ruled that Prince Harry, Baroness Doreen Lawrence, Elton John and other claimants would have to pay the Mail's legal costs on an indemnity basis, a rare legal procedure deployed when a case has been pursued in an improper way. The Mail says, or Associated Newspaper says. The Mail's legal costs is, as I said, £35 million. Mr. Justice Nicklin ruled that the way legal teams for Prince Harry and the other claimants ran the case was unreasonable to a high degree, and that allegations of that utmost seriousness were advanced before the evidential foundation for many of them had been established. His judgment is a devastating critique of an attempt to destroy a newspaper and the reputation of its journalists, editors and executives. From well before the trial started, the claimants' lawyers knew that their main witness had denied many of the preposterous allegations on which the claimants were based. And it goes on and on and on, and I think I'd be here all day if I read the whole thing. But the point is, of course, that Associated Newspapers were fully vindicated in the course of this 7-week trial. Prince Harry and others put very serious allegations against Associated Newspapers, specific journalists as well, over alleged unlawful information gathering. The judge dismissed those claims. He said there was not enough evidence, that evidence was not there, and therefore he has found in Associated's favour. So therefore, Prince Harry and others have to pay the £9.5 million interim bill and potentially a far greater bill further down the line.
Just quickly and finally, Cameron, have we had any reaction from Prince Harry's side or Elton John's side at all?
Now, as things stand, Dawn, Harry's team have not commented on this individual case, but I would just point out, of course, that 9.5 million payment will probably be covered by insurance. I think we'll have to wait a few weeks or months to see if Prince Harry's going to be out of pocket, as, of course, he makes his new life here in the UK.
OK, Cameron, thank you so much. That's GB News Royal Correspondent Cameron Walker at the Royal Courts of Justice on that legal decision there. That means Harry and Elton John and others will have to pay £9.5 million collectively in legal fees, but it was insured.
But it could be substantially more than that. We await the final decision of the Royal Courts of Justice.
OK, let's move on. New footage has been released showing French police coming under attack as they attempted to intercept a migrant boat.
Well, officers can be seen using pava spray, effectively pepper spray, to disperse migrants before deflating the dinghy by slashing it with a knife.
Yeah, French police say they've prevented 185 small boat crossing attempts in the first 3 months of the year with the deal with France, a deal worth £662 million.
Are we finally seeing some French resistance? Is the deal value for money? Well, channel crossings are, we should point out, down about 40% compared to last year.
So let's now talk to a French journalist, Sébastien Boussois. Sébastien, thank you so much for joining us today. Sébastien, the images we are seeing from the beach look very dramatic. What's the reaction in France?
Yeah, you're right. These images are dramatic, and the problem is that it's a daily problem. So we know that for ages, police is trying to struggle against the migrants, but especially more against the human traffic network. So from France, we already have so many problems, as you know, with illegal immigration. So we try to fight on every part of the country, but it's the same because I live between France and Belgium. And in Belgium, it's the same issue as well. And because there is still a real attraction, we need to focus on the reality and the reasons of this attraction for UK, for these people. It's clear that the agreements of Sandhurst and the new agreement to get more money for France to struggle against these migrants living or trying to live for UK is probably not enough. As you said, we have something like almost 200 boats who tried to reach UK, and police, but also police Riyadh, but also the CRS and gendarmerie are all trying with drones, with this kind of vehicles we see on the image, to prevent these people from going to UK. But then after, what are we going to do with these people? Because we are still in the same situation and the same issue of a very high level or a very high rate of illegal immigration who try to cross from Spain to France, then after from France to UK, or from France to Belgium, for example.
Sébastien, you know, this crisis has been dragging on for so many years now. I just wonder if there is any discussion in France, particularly among the coastal communities, Calais, Dunkirk, down to Wimereux and so many other places, about whether the French government should just bite the bullet, say that anybody that crosses from a certain day can be returned back to France, and enact something that, given a week or two, would end this crisis. Is there no such discussions in France at all? Would they never even entertain that concept?
Yeah, that's clear that for so many years we have a problem with the government, which is not strong enough with illegal immigration and with all these networks. But you can see the same thing in Ceuta actually now, even if Pedro Sanchez is the big boss of this kind of people who are too soft with this illegal immigration. So, of course, it's attractive for this kind of people. So some wants to leave from Morocco to reach Spain. In France, until maybe next year, we'll see what's going to happen next year. But we probably need someone who is stronger to fight against this illegal immigration. You can see that in Italy, Giorgia Meloni is trying to struggle as well, even if she doesn't have the choice to legalize something like 50,000 illegal immigration because they need it for the economy. That's the real problem, and that's a real dilemma between people who want to be very strong against illegal immigration, but then after we just discovered that we need people for economy, blah, blah. This is a real leftist argument and a real leftist position. So it's very, very difficult. I know that one of the main reasons of UK to leave Europe was to get rid of this illegal immigration. And that's the reason why UK signed so many agreements, especially with France. But you can see that finally, all these people arrive to cross all Europe, then to reach until the coastal in France. And then after, finally, it's the police who try to prevent these people just to cross the channel. They are almost arrived. So it means that on the way, there is a real laxism, and we really need strong policies. And we need a total refoundation of this issue of illegal immigration for the whole Europe.
Okay, yes, indeed, strong words there. That's French journalist Sébastien Boussois. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Okay, Shabana Mahmood, the Home Secretary, has said our new UK-France deal is already having a real impact, stopping crossings before they happen and disrupting the criminal gangs behind them. People smugglers should be in no doubt we're taking down their operations, seizing their equipment and breaking their business model for good.
OK, this is Good Afternoon Britain on GB News. Lots more coming up on today's show.
Yes, Bridget Phillipson says young men are being dragged into violent misogyny by the cesspit of social media. But critics, me amongst them, accuse her of ignoring growing concerns about violence against women involving migrants. But after the break.
2 Afghan illegal migrants, as we've just been talking about, have been convicted of raping a woman at knife point as the Home Office hands out new arrival leaflets explaining rape and consent. Can a booklet ever protect British women from dangerous overseas offenders?
Spoiler alert, no. Any case, all of that and much more to come. This is GB News at Britain's News Channel. We'll see you soon.
Bold. They are under no illusion. Ray. Are you a human trafficker? Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get us on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it?
From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
What I'm going to do now, they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
At the stroke of midnight, the news doesn't stop, and neither do we.
Day in, day out. Forget stuffy late-night TV shows. We're giving you a front-row ticket to the centre of the political universe.
Because breaking news doesn't wait for the morning.
And neither do we. Join us for one of the most controversial and volatile times of politics in human history.
A very big story.
Big story over here.
You won't get this anywhere else. The Late Show live at midnight, every night.
Only on GB News.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
It's 27 minutes past 2 o'clock. Wow. This is Good Afternoon Britain with the lovely Dawn and, not so lovely Mark.
No, you are lovely. And thank you so much for all your comments. Phoebe, that was very sweet of you. Thank you so much. Do keep them coming in because we do, we need a hug on a Friday afternoon, don't we?
Yes, thank you, Auntie Phoebe.
Yeah. That is your auntie, isn't it? It's depressing, it's only our relatives. Any case, let's talk about the serious subject of the day. On GB News, we often highlight the dangers associated with illegal channel crossings, and the risk to women from undocumented migrants is undoubtedly increasing.
Well, in another shocking case, 2 Afghan men have been convicted of raping a woman at knife point in East London. The young victim had been stargazing with a man on her first date.
Yep, I'm not going to say their names. These 2 pieces of filth attacked the woman in Barking Park last year.
Well, one of the men raped the woman while another held a knife to her date's throat and threatened to kill him if he called the police.
The news of the latest case comes amid the row over that Home Office move to hand out leaflets to illegal migrants, reinforcing the need for consent.
Well, let's speak now to the writer and journalist, Andy Jones. Andy, good afternoon to you. Look, this is such a depressing issue, but really it's been, not helped, I don't think, by the way in which the Home Office have decided to put these pamphlets out. I'm not sure what good, if any, they're going to do in changing the mindset of individuals who, for the entirety of their life, have been brought up in cultures or countries that clearly the Home Office is now concerned about.
Yeah, these misogynistic, hateful attitudes are entrenched, deep-seated in a lot of countries around the world. How do I know that? I worked in asylum provision in an admin job before I was a journalist, putting asylum seekers in housing around Birmingham. I've also reported as a journalist from migrant camps in Europe, in northern France, and also across Africa. And what you see there is some troubling attitudes to women. A lot of men from the different places want to just come to Britain and work. They don't want to be in trouble with the law and therefore will do anything they can to avoid any action from the police. But a lot of them have very troubling attitudes. When you see that, that comes in 2 ways. One, they come from countries like Afghanistan, which has got an appalling attitude to women. Not only women not allowed to go to school, not allowed to work, not allowed to show their face. Women who suffer rape very often have to marry their own rapist to stop themselves from being stoned for adultery. They also come from places like Iraq, which recently reintroduced a law that men can marry 9-year-old girls because it says so in the Quran, and also places like Iran where they'll take your eye out if a woman takes her hijab off, and also places like Somalia where over 90% of women have suffered female genital mutilation. In my first-hand experience, you then see that happening, a real big impact here. When I speak to migrants in migrant camps in northern France, very often they're brought here, they come here for the idea of getting a job and an economy or seeing their favourite Premier League football team, but also because they say they want an English girlfriend. And the first time I heard this, I thought, what do you mean you're coming all the way over the world for an English girlfriend? I thought they wanted some sort of English rose like Keira Knightley, or they'd seen some pop star on the TV. But actually, when they say English girlfriend, what they mean is very often they would then show me a smartphone with a pornographic image on it from an online porn site. And because pornography is nearly all in the English language, they assume English language countries, the women behave in such a way where they have group sex freely, they have casual sex, and also things like social media where women, and I cast no judgment, are very often wearing less clothes than they would see in Afghanistan and Iran. And then when they arrive here, they then see women walking around in these clothes, they see women falling outside of a nightclub, and then you see these horrendous cases that you've just detailed. And this is not just a perception, this is borne out by fact. Yeah. I spoke to Dorset Police only a few months ago for an article for The Spectator about the troubling number of rapes linked to asylum hotels in the Bournemouth area. They told me that there have been 8 rape and sexual assault reports linked to the asylum hotels there in 14 months. There are only 304 men that live in those migrant hotels in Bournemouth, yet 8 reports of rapes and sexual assaults made to gentlemen in those hotels. And where are these men from? They are from Afghanistan, they are from Eritrea, where we saw a man was convicted earlier this week for raping an elderly man in a graveyard in Harrow recently. And they also come from places that aren't even war-torn or remotely troubled, like a man was convicted from Trinidad for dragging a girl from a club in Bournemouth back to his asylum hotel, and he raped her there, and also another man from Egypt. I mean, we're in a position where people are raping women in Britain, and they come from places like Egypt and Trinidad, which would be agreeable holiday destinations for us, or they come from some of the worst places on earth to be a woman: Somalia, Iran, Iraq, Afghanistan, etc., etc. Our Foreign Office says, whatever you do, don't go to these places, don't travel alone if you're a woman in rural Pakistan or Afghanistan or Iran or Somalia. And then they do absolutely nothing about stopping these men arriving. There is absolutely no control, no checks.
Andy, that's absolutely horrific to hear. And obviously, we do have to stress it is not all migrants.
Absolutely
but
not.
From what you've said, it's just absolutely horrific. And they don't seem to show any remorse or any understanding of, you know, what they are doing wrong. To them, women are just literally pieces of meat.
Yeah, I mean, particularly you just had a story about Afghans on screen. I mean, we've allowed hundreds, I mean, Mark's detailed in his own reports, we've allowed hundreds of thousands of Afghans into Britain because of a data breach. I mean, in Afghanistan, they have utterly appalling attitudes to women. I mean, if you get raped in Afghanistan, you very often have to marry your aggressor. Women aren't allowed to sing or speak in the street. They're not allowed to show their face. Then any woman that shows any part of their body, and we're not talking about miniskirts here, we're talking about a wrist or an ankle, is fair game for sexual assault. Yes. And these countries around the world, they have very, very challenging attitudes to women. I mean, Somalia is another country where FGM, female genital mutilation, happens. In Britain now, we didn't used to have any female genital mutilation. A recent cross-party examination of the problem discovered that 140,000 women in Great Britain had suffered female genital mutilation. I mean, for scale, that's the population of Oxford. And so we are importing not only a lot of men who just want a job, who just want to get away from a war zone, who want to get away from a problem country, but people who have very, very problematic attitudes to women. And we are seeing repeat cases where these men are not running from persecution, they're running from prosecution. We've seen multiple cases in Bournemouth, we saw the case in Brighton where a guy had murdered someone in another country. Individuals who've committed appalling crimes, murders, rapes, etc. They arrive in Britain because we are a soft touch. And working in the asylum system myself, I can tell you that the less evidence you have to back up your claim, the more likely you are to be believed, because the onus is on Britain to prove you are not who you say you are. And when you have no evidence saying who you are, you cannot even then argue against it. So, for instance, take the example of someone who arrived in the country and said they are gay and they are fleeing Afghanistan. You would say, oh, well, have you got any pictures of boyfriends? They will say, oh, well, I haven't got any pictures because I'd never take a picture of a boyfriend because we'd both be killed. Have you got any phone numbers of any boyfriends? Oh, well, I never take any phone numbers because we'd all be killed. And so actually, when this individual then arrives in Britain, they've got no proof to say what they are or what they aren't. And similarly, if you're coming from, say, a rural village somewhere that's been attacked by enemy forces, the only way of proving that you can stay in the country is to detail those attacks. Well, there's 2 types of people in that incident that have evidence of those attacks: the victims who are running away from the gun and the people that were holding the gun. We have absolutely no evidence in the UK, no way of proving that these people are aggressors or victims.
Yeah, no, really good points. Time has run away from us, as always, Andy, but I really appreciate your insight. And, you know, Andy's right. That's one of the reasons why, of course, so many people throw away their identifying documents in the channel, so they can invent that backstory, or they can say something knowing the onus is on the British authorities to prove that they're not what they say they are.
And, you know, FGM, rape, stoning, removal of education, as Andy said on a social media post he did, many of them hate women. Obviously not all of them, but the question here, Mark, is how many of people with that mindset are going to take any notice of that booklet?
Well, no, if it's entrenched in terms of your cultural values, it's very difficult to imagine that a pamphlet is going to change that mindset.
Indeed. OK, a Home Office spokesperson has said, we expect everyone who comes to the UK to abide by our laws. If they do not, they will face consequences, including the refusal of their asylum claim and removal from the UK. Returns of failed asylum seekers have reached their highest level since 2010 under this government.
Now, if you've been affected by anything discussed, the Rape Crisis England and Wales support line is open 24 hours a day, every day of the year. You can ring it on 0808 500 2222, and that's a free number. Or, of course, you can visit their website and there's online chat, as well as that number that you can look up as well.
Yeah, please do get in touch if you are troubled by those reports. OK, there is lots more coming up on today's show.
Yes, Prince Harry and 6 other high-profile figures will have to pay the Daily Mail's publisher at least £9.5 million after losing their High Court case. We'll have all the details.
Yeah, all of that and much more to come. This is GB News, Britain's news channel. We'll see you soon.
Hi there and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. Bright spells for many of us today, but also showers. Frequent showers, heavy downpours, even some thunderstorms, and it's going to feel cool. One of the cooler days this summer, of course, with northerly winds and weather fronts moving through, providing a focus for downpours. Now, the most frequent showers will be across eastern parts of England, as well as Wales and the southwest. Where these showers occur, could be some rumbles of thunder and some very heavy rain for a short period of time. But not everyone will catch these showers. There'll be some drier and brighter weather out there, especially through central parts, western Scotland. Wherever you are, it's going to feel cool. Temperatures reaching 21 to 23 Celsius in the south, mid to high teens further north. Although for western Scotland, it's actually a dry day predominantly, with clear spells as we go into the evening. Showers further east and south, but these will be easing. There'll be fewer of them by the end of the day. Still some showers for Northern Ireland, not as lively as previous days this week. The bulk of the showers will still, into the evening, affect the north and east of England, central and southern parts, as well as the far southwest of Wales and the southwest of England. And they'll continue even after the sun goes down for a time, but eventually overnight, skies will be clearing, they'll be turning drier, and with that cool air in place, it's going to be a chilly night in some parts of the UK, with temperatures in sheltered parts of Scotland and northern England similar to the previous night, 3-4 degrees or so as we start off Saturday. Nevertheless, for most people, it's a dry start to the weekend, albeit on the cool side. Some patchy cloud here and there, still the odd shower, but mostly with high pressure in place for Saturday. It's dry, there'll be some sunshine. It's going to still feel cool, highs of 23 Celsius in the far south.
Thank you, Britain, for the thousands of you who are becoming friends of GB News each and every week.
Good afternoon. This is the latest AI travel news from GBNews.com. The M1 northbound is affected by a collision between junctions 8 and 9 near Hemel Hempstead. The M6 northbound is affected by a collision at junction 15 in Stoke-on-Trent. The M27 is closed at junction 2 in Romsey. In Scotland, the M90 southbound has queuing and lane restrictions between junctions 1C Admiralty and 1B Ferrytoll. Across Wales, the A470 southbound at Corriton is congested. And on the trains, Greater Anglia services are facing major disruption between Shenfield and Southend Victoria, while Avanti West Coast services are disrupted between Milton Keynes and Watford Junction. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Good afternoon, Britain. It is 19 minutes even to 3 o'clock.
Oh, the little brain was going there.
It really was.
She did her backwards calculation.
My brain is just not functioning after 2.5 hours with Mark White, to be honest with you.
I don't blame you.
Any case, we're talking about our favourite subject. Yeah, breaking news. Prince Harry and 6 other high-profile figures will have to pay the Daily Mail's publisher £9.5 million after losing that High Court case.
Yeah, the Duke of Sussex, Sir Elton John, and others sued associated newspapers over allegations of unlawful information gathering. We'll return to this story with more details from our royal correspondent Cameron Walker very soon.
OK, I think...
Oh, in fact, we've got him now.
Yes, we have, yeah.
So
yeah.
sooner.
Much sooner than we thought. Yeah, so let's go now to the Royal Courts of Justice, where Cameron is indeed poised. Cameron, bring us the details.
Good afternoon, Dawn and Mark. Yes, of course, it is a hefty legal bill for Prince Harry, Elton John and the other high-profile claimants in this case. The initial payments between all of them is £9.5 million. That must be paid by 4 p.m. on the 28th of August, so that's almost this time next week. Now, the judge ruled that the cost should be calculated for associated newspapers on what's described as an indemnity basis. And just to bring you up to speed, if you're just joining us, this is to do with Prince Harry and the others suing the publisher of the Daily Mail, which is called Associated Newspapers Limited, over alleged unlawful information gathering. It was a case kind of allegations dating back decades. They lost very substantially all of the claims that they were making, and the judge found in favour of Associated Newspapers. Now, because the case they brought against that newspaper group was so broad, including some very serious criminal allegations against a number of their journalists and executives, it meant that the cost of defending the integrity of their journalism and indeed the reputation of the company was so high. They claim it cost them £34 million, and that is why the judge has ruled in the lawyers' favour of Associated Newspapers on this indemnity basis, which means that Associated Newspapers is far more likely to recover more than the £9.5 million bill that Harry and others are going to have to pay this time next week. But that is a very, very lengthy process indeed. It requires a specialist cost judge to specifically look at the details of what has been argued during the course of this trial to come up with a figure. It doesn't necessarily mean that those 6 claimants are going to have to fork out £34 million collectively. It could be far less than that. But the judge has not put a cap on the amount of money they have to pay to Associated Newspapers for their legal costs. Now, the judge said that Prince Harry and the others, some of the allegations that they pursued them without supporting evidence, and the allegations were not withdrawn when they could no longer properly be maintained. In other words, some of the allegations were withdrawn midway through the trial. Now, the judge did not the judge did not find that the claimants were dishonest in any of the cases that they were bringing, but clearly felt that they did not have enough evidence in order to find in their favour. Now, what I would just point out, of course, is that they did have insurance for claimants, including Prince Harry and Sir Elton John, so that £9.5 million is likely to be covered by the insurance. However, that only goes up to around 18 million, we think, which means if they are forced to pay back the 34-odd million pounds, well, that's coming out of Prince Harry, Elton John and the others' pockets. Now, one of the other claimants in this case who lost, Sir Simon Hughes, the former Liberal Democrat MP, he has said he is disappointed and is considering his options, whether to appeal both the judgment and indeed the costs. Associated Newspapers, their spokesperson said that the ruling was another overwhelming victory for the Mail and its journalism.
Cameron Walker, thank you so much for that report there, live from the Royal Courts of Justice on that legal battle. You know how long? That's 46 days of trial in 2026, 34 numbers of witnesses on that one. And the total number of claimants' allegations upheld by the judge, none.
Yeah, and because they made it such a a vast, wide-ranging set of allegations. That meant that associated newspapers had to expend a very significant amount of money in defending themselves. Now that's coming back to roost, obviously, for those that lost that case.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting to see, especially seeing as Harry and Meghan aren't moving back to the UK, possibly to spend more time with his father's money. Who knows? Any case, this is Good Afternoon Britain on GB News. Lots more coming up on today's show.
Yes, a very special happy birthday to the world's oldest person, Ethel Caterham from Surrey, who turns 117 today. But just how can we live as long as her? Would you want to live as long as her?
Ah, that's lovely. What a beautiful picture. But if you are in search of some holiday sun, here's a forecast for those top European destinations for you.
I forecast a perfect holiday in the sun.
Weather looking good then?
For sure, and no worries about our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Thunderstorms are affecting parts of southern Alpine regions. It's turning quite wet and windy across parts of Spain and Portugal throughout this weekend. That's thanks to this area of low pressure that will sweep up across parts of Portugal, Spain and then into France through the start of next week. Elsewhere, though, that thundery downpour across Alpine regions does tend to fade away into this weekend. And across the Mediterranean, it's looking nice and warm and sunny. And that theme does continue as we head into next week as well. Bye-bye.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
Joining us now is Head of Advocacy at Big Brother Watch, Jack Colson. Jack, interested to know your view on this. You know, why shouldn't I be able to wear my Meta glasses around?
Well, certainly there are times and places where Meta glasses might be of use, particularly for those with visual impairments. The technology really could be a breakthrough, but we see these as the tip of an iceberg. Meta's glasses have already been potentially linked to facial recognition technology, which really would be a stalker's charter. And we are operating in an environment where perpetrators of harassment feel safe to use this technology when really it's the public who ought to feel safe. So the government ultimately are going to have to explore restrictions on this kind of technology, and we're seeing civil society push back.
GB News, the People's Channel. GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
I do think it's worrying that young people, I mean, are they I think they are more risk averse. Yes. I think they are scared of getting into personal space. I think you're right, there are issues about consent and everything else. But how sad that people say that it's been a year since they've been kissed. What is life for if you're not having a little kiss every now and again?
Yeah, the death of the kiss.
Apparently, much younger people now haven't had a good snog in over 12 months on average, the people that have been interviewed. But I would hazard a guess that that's because people are frightened. Men don't know when they can approach women anymore. Men can think 1 or 2 steps ahead on the same board, whereas a woman will think about 18 steps. So
I think you're overthinking it.
If a man takes you to Paris for the weekend, a woman will come back disappointed that they haven't proposed to them. Whereas a man thinks they've done a really great thing.
Why do men always think you're going to be proposed to in Paris? That you expect that. We don't expect that. Just take us to Paris.
The People's Channel. Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
I'm thrilled to say now I'm joined by another World War II veteran.
In my judgment, the Mosquito was a better aircraft because it's got 2 Spitfire engines.
And you flew it all over Europe. You told me that you had a particularly memorable flight near Berlin. What happened there?
A shell came up underneath, it lifted up the aircraft and it interfered for a brief period with the fuel supply. I didn't know. All I knew was I'd got the propellers were windmilling around and we hadn't any power. And eventually the power came on again. And I leaned across to Doug, my navigator. He was a Canadian, a wonderful bloke. And I said to him, you weren't frightened, were you, Doug? And he said, no, I wasn't frightened, I was bloody terrified.
GB News.
Good afternoon, Britain. It is 9 minutes to 3. I've got no idea what time it is, to be honest with you. But we are talking about the world's oldest person, and they're celebrating the 117th birthday today after a year of many firsts, including meeting the King and holding his hand. Oh.
Well, Ethel Cutterham, who lives in Hallmark Lakeview Care Home in Lightwater in Surrey, is spending the day with her family and friends to mark the occasion.
But what's the secret to enjoying a very long life like Ethel? A nutrition and lifestyle expert, Christine Stavridis, sorry about messing your name up there, joins us to give Mark and I a bit of advice how we can live beyond the end of the show, to be honest with you.
Thank you for having me. Very excited to talk about this wonderful topic.
And how, I mean, longevity is one thing, but it's longevity with a level of fitness and, you know, you want to be still have all your sort of cognizance.
Yeah, absolutely. There's two kind of things we talk about. So health span, so how many years you spend of your life in good health and you can be independent and free from any illnesses. And then you've got your lifespan, which is your how long you live, really. So yeah, the health span is the one we're really, really interested in because that's the quality of life at the end of the day that you have.
So I'm guessing this doesn't involve, you know, drinking, eating bad stuff, but it does involve getting lots of exercise.
Absolutely. It's all about balance. I like to say that myself. So you can still eat healthily and have a couple of drinks on the weekend and a couple of treats and everything here and there. But it's just about having that balance. So I like to do the 80-20 rule. 80% of the time it's healthy, 20% of the time I'm enjoying myself.
Quite liking that one. What about, I mean, on a serious note, I mean, not just because I'm working with Mark, obviously, but what about stress and anxiety? I mean, we face more and more stresses in our everyday lives. How does that damage our health?
Yeah, well, stress can be caused or linked to inflammation. It can disrupt our gut health and lead to some nutritional deficiencies. It can disrupt our sleep quality. So all the things we kind of don't really want happening. So it's really important to get out in green spaces, breath work, meditation. It all sounds a bit woo-woo, but it really does work. And getting good quality sleep and reducing the screen time is definitely all things to be looking after.
I've spoken to a few elderly people in my time as a journalist. You know, you go and do occasional reports.
You're not including me, are you?
Not you, my dear. No, we know it's past your bedtime at the moment. And they will often tell me they still enjoy a little bit of, you know, indulgence, like a little bit of a tipple. You know, so I guess a little bit of something that you like can go a long way.
Absolutely. You know, life is for a living, so you need to enjoy yourself, but it's all about moderation. It sounds a bit boring, but all about moderation.
Thank you very much.
Christine, thank you so much. Been enjoy it. Thank you so much for your company. That's it from Mark and I.
Off to your bed now.
Off to enjoy ourselves. See you soon.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello again and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. Showers for many of us during the rest of the day, but not for all. Some places will be dry with sunny spells. Wherever you are, it's going to feel on the cool side, certainly compared with summer so far, and indeed compared with what we'd expect at this time of year. A northerly breeze bringing those showers, especially to western, southwestern, as well as eastern shores, and those showers will continue into the evening, mostly southern parts of the UK, seeing the showers continuing inland, away from the coast. The showers eventually break away and clear skies prevail. 12 or 13 Celsius in the south, 8 to 11 further north, and in some shelter spots, low single figures. So for sheltered parts of Scotland and northern England, for example, a chilly start to Saturday. A touch warmer further south, but certainly fresher compared with so many mornings this summer. Plenty of sunshine through southern parts of England as well as into Wales. Further showers running into North Wales, northwest England, 1 or 2 trickling down the North Sea. Northern Ireland seeing a scattering of showers, likewise for the northwest of Scotland. In between, brighter spells. The showers nowhere near as frequent or as heavy compared with the second half of this week. We're looking at a general settling down of the weather heading into the weekend. High pressure building back, but this high is going to be a cooler high. and temporary. Return to low pressure expected from next Tuesday. Temperatures up into the high teens, perhaps low 20s in places. So again, below average for the time of year. A notable cool feel compared with so many days this summer. Any showers that we do see on Saturday tend to fade away on Saturday night. Another chilly start in places on Sunday. Sunday's a mostly dry day, sunny in the south, cloudier further north, and then it's through next week we see the rain return.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
It's the final week to see how you could win over £65,000 in prizes.
You could be our latest Great British Giveaway winner.
First of all, we want to give you
£60,000 in tax-free cash. Plus, you'll also receive a fine gold bar worth over £5,000.
For a chance to win, text GOLD to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB22 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 21st of August. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pulled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Britain is not just a geographical expression. We are a people bound together by history and culture that are distinctively British. Join me to celebrate our music, theatre, artworks and literature which we can explore and enjoy together.
Everybody's welcome.
Sunday,